the last time you've been at the beach?
Yesterday?
Really? Well, it's been a nice week, huh?
Beautiful.
Since last weekend?
No, I got there, when did I get there? I got there Friday, I think. It was Friday. And
What a
I was
beautiful
supposed to
week.
stay longer up on the front end, but the weather was bad, so I didn't. I pushed it off to stay for this week, and I forgot about the council meeting, so I came back.
Did the show only do the beach on Pensacola Beach, or did they pass in front of you off to
What's that?
the air show? There was an air show last week. I didn't see it. So it must have been on the beach.
So big, I didn't watch. You're welcome to this one.
No, it was right there. Oh, you went Destin. Okay, not there.
Yeah, yeah, but it was beautiful. It was gorgeous. Oh, dude. The water, everything. The Gulf was so calm. Golly. Look, it was like that. It was like that.
Class,
Three,
huh?
3 days. Every day was like that.
That's a beautiful beach.
Hammond City Council Public Hearing Agenda, November the 9th, 2021, 5:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilman Andrews,
Present.
Councilman Divatario,
Present.
Councilwoman Gonzalez,
Present.
Councilman Leon,
Present.
Councilman Wells.
Present. Public hearing, item number 1.
An ordinance to revise Article 8.1.7 of the Unified Development Code regarding the definition of the properties included in the Hammond Historical District. Ryan Falk.
Good evening, Council.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Ryan Falk, Chairman of the Hammond Historic District Commission. This was introduced at the last meeting, and we are coming before you to revise the language of the definition for the historic district. It's to correct an interpretation that was made of a specific word in that definition that rendered certain properties excluded at the perimeter. We are updating it to change that verbiage to reincorporate those properties that were then excluded, so we don't have so we then have a contiguous district at the perimeter. No link? The original definition of the district,
Speaking to the mic.
sorry, let me move that. That's better. The original definition of the district, or the current one, I should say, notes that all properties facing the district that are at the perimeter border streets of the district are included within the historic district. The interpretation that was made by the city attorney several years ago, at the request of one of the property owners, defined facing very specifically as only the address facing those streets, that then excluded a handful of properties, and you'll see them in blue on this map. The ones that are in the, I guess, the light red or pink are those that are, per the current definition, facing. We're wishing to bring those properties that were then excluded back into the district at this time. And we did, as I said the last time, we performed 4 workshops, 2 of them in person, 2 of them virtually. We sent out notifications to all the affected property owners. Number 1, that we were asking to do this, and number 2, to invite them to the work sessions. And nobody attended any of the 4 that were provided over the span of 2 weeks? 2 to 3 weeks, I think we had those work sessions.
So the blue proposed reincorporation, those owners, they haven't came to any of the meetings or anything, or?
They did not attend any of the meetings, and they
Okay.
were notified
Okay.
that that we were requesting for this.
I think at least twice they were notified.
Yes, thank you.
Lisa also sent out a round of letters.
So that being said, Andre, I'm not in the district. I'm facing the district, but yet you're going to force me to be in the district.
Well, that's.
I'm not sure I understand your question. So the,
Question is, if I'm either in or I'm not in the district. Why am I
Correct.
being put in the district? Because I am facing the district.
the challenge is the existing definition says facing. So what does facing mean? So I'm called upon to make that decision. That was asked because one of the, a homeowner challenged, they were told they were in the district. And they challenged whether they should be in the district. So using the definition of facing, face means to me front, and that's based upon standard definitions of what facing is. So it's front. So if your building fronts the district, it's in under the current definition. Now the question became, what's the front of your building? And the way to determine the front, in my opinion, was what's the municipal address that's assigned to it? Knowing that there are actually some buildings that may have an entrance maybe to the side, but you have to make a decision. You're either in or you're out. So the decision that I made, the opinion I rendered, was facing would be a property whose front, based on the municipal address, was the fronting on the district. That's different than touching a street on the district, as you see by the examples that are there. So what was explained early was, I think they intended to be touching. I think the district intended to have properties that touch the district to be included. But the word touching was not used in the definition, it was facing. So what the effort now is to really recapture back properties that some believe were in the district, but because of the interpretation of facing, were now out of the district. So it's really to bring them back in. And I think to bring clarity.
It was as well. I mean, Andre is speaking to what the original intent was, and he's correct, that the definition was not just that everything within the street border, it was in the district. It also included those facing properties. And it was intended that you have as you drive the perimeter of the district, that you have that continuity on both sides as you drive the district. Several of these properties that are in blue have submitted applications, even within the last 5 years, for work that they've wanted to do to their property, believing they're technically in the district.
They would have received notice for the historic district meetings and for the planning and zoning meeting, right? And this meeting? Okay,
Well,
because we sent out notices as well, yeah,
right.
okay.
They went to planning and zoning and they came with their approval.
Yeah.
Got notices from all three committees.
And then planning and zoning made what recommendation?
To approve.
Yeah, okay.
So I think it's about 14, 15 houses that they're gonna affect?
Was it even that
I
much?
think I've read something about, 21? And each one of the 21 houses, you actually went out and told them what's going on and what you were trying to do?
Speak. Yeah. This is Sarah Nauer, our administrator.
Here's your name and address, please.
Sarah Nauer. I live at 17654 Avalon Terrace. So the way that the process is keeping in mind with COVID, when we started this, COVID restrictions were still pretty intense. So we opted to decide to send a letter that detailed every single date that would be occurring, the fact that it would be going to planning and zoning, how they could find that information. And we sent it to those addresses based on addresses that could be found on applications that we have received on our files and based on what was available via the assessor website. But I didn't want to go to door and take my interns with me because I didn't want to, we're trying to cut down.
No, I understand about that. I understand about code. But it means, so we voting on this here. So is this gonna help Hammond or hurt Hammond?
Well, ultimately, it's gonna help. I mean, ideally, those people that were deemed part of the district back, this was some 40 years ago that this district now has been in place. The whole point is to preserve what we have and improve upon what we have downtown. And that's evident from, look at the vibrancy of downtown and everything, all the properties around it. Look at the movie industry that's come here. Look at the commerce that's come here.
No, I understand what you're saying because, see, when we first became city councilmen, and we had this here come before us, and I don't know, was it the side of the house or the back of the property? That was a big issue with that.
Might have been the Moore's properties or the removal.
The one
of-
by the police department,
Yeah.
police station.
Thomas
The two-
and Morris, yeah, Morris Avenue, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 2 Morris Avenue property.
Yeah, and I say that because, you know, I don't know, was they asked, do they want to be a part of it back then, or how did they come out? Because I'm talking about, I know it was an issue,
Right.
and what I'm saying is, I don't want nobody making me do nothing, you know, and I'm saying, because I heard you say 21 houses, I heard you say about COVID, but, you know, if I'm a part of it, I know what all I have to do. And I know y'all have rules and regulations on what y'all want on the houses and how y'all want it to look. But I just want to make sure, you know, before I make a decision, that because even Tracy, that used to work for the city, she said she put stuff in the paper, in the newspaper, but she know ain't nobody reading the paper. And that what scares me. We know what we put in the paper, but who gonna read it, you know? And a lot of times with the city itself, a lot of times we don't find out, not the city councilman, and sometimes us too, we don't find out till the last minute. And so I just want to make sure that those 21 homeowners are knowing what's taking place, because a lot of times, and I think I heard Mr. Andre say, somebody said something about opinion. And see, when we dealing with an opinion, instead of dealing with a fact or a rule, and that's what I like about rules, because once we have the rules in place, I mean, we don't have to argue, you know, that it's a rule. And so, I know I'm quite sure this is gonna be a rule, but the opinions, what scares everybody, because I got an opinion, you got an opinion, she got an opinion, and so, and I think that's when it get messy, when we start going about opinions, and then how we feel about this person. And so that's what scares me about the whole thing, you know. What did we actually do to reach out to those 21 homeowners? Because like me, if I stayed in the area, I would want you to really let me know what's going on and what it's about, because a lot of times we leave out what it's about. We talk to a person or talk at a person, but we don't tell them exactly what is going on.
I understand where you're coming from on that. And I do want to be clear that these aren't just homes. There are several homes that are part of this, but a lot of these are also commercial properties as well around. It's not just homeowners. As far as what the requirements are, what you're imposing upon people, there are some differences between what's required of homeowners and what's required of commercial properties. The restrictions are a lot less for homeowners, and it's really about guiding them in the proper ways of maintaining what they have and things that they want to do to their homes. If you look at the map, currently, you've got to consider also, as the definition stands, we've got one property owner that must adhere to the guidelines, and his next door neighbor does not. And we're trying to help rectify that,
So does,
while also helping to improve the district.
So those letters, I guess they were sent just regular mail, or y'all did them certified to those 21 owners?
Regular letters, so everyone on the perimeter of the district, all the red, or
Yeah.
all the pink and blue, they all got the letters, but because of our budget, it is not financially feasible to send out certified letters. It would run about $1,000.
Well, I know, I just meant for the 21, though, the
They were all
21
sent,
people.
Just everyone got
Okay, yeah,
same
the ones that
letter.
actually were affected by, you know,
But
that's all.
one-
I just
not-
want,
They
yeah.
weren't certified mail, they were
Not
sent
certified.
regular.
Yeah, that's what I was, yeah, with all the storms and everything,
Regular.
and viruses, a lot of the mails was messed up and
Well, this
everything else.
was-
I just wanted to make
this
It
sure.
was
was
the
done
first
in-
in July.
This was done in July.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, I mean, 21, I think it's about $140, I think, or whatever, for just some notice of received mail, whatnot, especially since there might be businesses, you know, the owners may not be in town, they may be renting them, I don't know. So I just, I'm not talking about everybody, but if it's 21 property owners that might actually be affected, I just, you know, make sure they knew about it, you know, that's it.
That's fair. And I think certified letter is something that they've been addressing as a commission, is how to approach the general public, that if you send a certified letter, it's a lot more seemingly hostile than just a regular letter.
Or even just, yeah, just a receipt that they received it, you know, I mean, that's, you know. I mean, if it was, you talking about 300 or 400 people, residents, you know, it'd be a different story, but 21, so, anyway, that's it, so.
Because I think we had one of the business downtown. It was a big problem with them. They had them went and did some work and didn't talk to you all. I think what they didn't get a permit. They didn't get down from the city, and they didn't get down from you all.
Right.
And stuff. And that's what I'm looking at, you know. And I say, once again, we talk about rules and regulations. You know, we have rules in place and we have regulations in place. And everybody, you know, have to abide by the rules and the regulations. You know, we just can't look out for Miss Lisa and yet make it hard on me. So, that's all I wanted to know about. Thank you.
So why did Darrell Smith, was he able to put hardy board on it, his property, when he was outside of the district but facing it with the gray apartments? And now he wanted to put vinyl, and you didn't let that happen.
No.
But you ended up letting him put hardy when it was originally wood. Explain that. Either you're in or you're out of the district, it seems to me. It's pretty cut and clear.
And we have to also consider the property itself. We have to consider what's best for the building. A lot of those materials, including hardy, have shown to be a lot better, or in some scenarios, than having to go back with wood. I mean, he was proposing to replace the entirety of the siding with hardy, including the trim. And it comes from a maintenance aspect and looking at the profiles that he was proposing to use. Now, whether that's something that's for are you asking for a specific property other than that, or a comparison, or?
I'm just trying to figure out, you know, you have some people who have put hardy, you have some people you've been forced to put wood that wanted to put hardy. You know, I've had a couple people mention things to me, and it just doesn't make sense. You're either in or you're out of the district. I just don't really get, it's cumbersome for some folks to figure out why they're being placed in this situation when they're not in the district. And then you have others who have done building, like Darrell, and he has hardy. Hardy, to me, as a
Well, if you're not
builder,
in-
should be allowed, I don't know if it's a tax credit thing or what, should be allowed for everyone. It looks like,
If you're
it
out of
looks
the
like wood.
district, then we're not,
If you're facing the district, you're out of the district. You're putting a fine line, a gray area saying because you're facing it, you're in the district.
right.
Right. Well, you're either in or you're out.
Well, right. And the definition right now says if you're facing, you're in. That's what the definition says.
As Councilman Wells said, it's an opinion. And I guess that's what you all are going to vote on, whether that opinion is right.
I think we're trying to clean up the opinion. We're
Yeah, if
trying to
you-
make the rule where everyone can understand.
As long as you're facing it. If your side of your house is on it, you're not facing it. Is that what you're saying?
Well, as it stands now, that's the way it is. Now, a lot of these buildings have a significant elevation on the district side.
My main
They're
concern,
exempt, but they're exempt from any kind of regulation or any kind of
My main concern was with only 21 being affected. I just find it hard to believe not one of them had a problem, which, you know, hey, I mean, hey, that's great to hear, but I, you know, I just wanted to make sure that they, you know, were notified and, you know, didn't get the mail lost or whatever.
There were some that did call with
Okay.
problems, and it was explained. They were informed and explained that the meetings will be occurring. The known dates, they did not show up though. I can't go and force them to come.
Yeah, no, that's fine, as long as, I mean, that's good to hear. I mean, I just wanted to make sure, I mean, you know.
I'll call in with questions,
Yeah.
seeking information about what's happening, so explain that to them.
And they seemed like they understood,
They did.
and, okay.
Yes.
It was the same conversation that we had where they come, I explain
Yeah.
to them the map, and we break it down piece by piece, and I look at their records, see if they've ever applied before, happened, did. I think like maybe 6 people called me, and that's
Yeah.
kind of the crazy thing. You send out 60 letters and 5% response.
Yeah, because, I mean, even with the council meeting, and we all see, Hammond have a lot of people stay in the city, but yet none of them show up to the council meeting. And once we vote on something, that's when I have to hear, well, why you didn't? Why you didn't? And I'm like, well, man, you know, the council meeting every 2 weeks. But I didn't know they were going to do this here, you know, not so much by their house, but 3 houses down. I said, I thought I made it very clear, you know, what was going on. And my concern, if the 21 people, you know, if they was notified, I can understand. COVID, you know, once again, a lot of people don't come to the meeting because of that. I understand that. But I be liking, not opinion, but on paper, what would they always say? Black and white, it's in black and white, and you can read it for yourself. That's the only thing I say, because, and I'm going to say this here to make it very clear. I don't have a leg in the fight, a dog in the fight, or nothing, but it's for the people that's not knowing what's going on. And that's why I ask, will it improve Hammond, or will it hurt Hammond? You know, because when you talk about District 3, I want to see improvements. I don't want to see nothing that's going to hurt it.
I think one thing too is that people expressed more annoyance at not having been notified initially when the change was made. That they're very, very upset about that. And so now that, you know, they're coming forward and deciding to bring them back, because they were left out, you know. City council decided, you know, you guys removed 20 properties, and now those 20 properties go, wait, am I in and am I not in? I spend half of my calls most of the week answering people to tell them if they're in the district or not, because it's not, the jack-o'-lantern thing is not clear.
Is anybody here tonight that, for the 21 people that are affected?
I'm also on the historic commission. But I did get a letter, I got a letter last week.
John, could you come up to the mic, please?
So you in or out of the district?
I am one of them that's gonna be, I believe, incorporated back in 206 South Spruce.
Because
So,
you were facing it?
yep. So,
Okay.
I mean, yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, I mean, obviously, you know, I'm on the historic committee, so I believe in what we do, but from a general standpoint, when you ask, it's an opinion whether it's good for Hammond or not, right? It's an opinion. But what I can say is that I'm very proud of our town maintaining an aesthetic look that makes Renee Zellweger do a movie right outside of the door here. So I think it's important that we do have things in place, and there needs to be some continuity. The way this is staggered, it does cause confusion with the public. I don't personally have a problem adhering to the standards, and actually, you know, everything can be improved on, but I do think a lot of times we can be helpful to people in helping them how to go best about with their construction or whatever they're doing, so they don't do something that may actually damage their house for long term. You know, I think there's value that the Historic Commission brings, and if we give continuity across the board to where people aren't confused whether they're in or out, it would really help our community as a whole to know to know what's going on, so and make everybody's job a little bit more streamlined. So that's where I'm at.
Anyone else? You come up and give your name and address, please.
Washburn. Own the property at 500 West Thomas Street in Hammond. I was just a little bit surprised in receiving your letter, and I really couldn't quite understand it. While my property at 500 West Thomas Street is in consideration for this historical district, so is 500 West Morris Street, which in essence, I couldn't understand how you all determined the properties because they went in and out, if you will. It was not a straight line. That's number one. Number two, how does this, we're in the Hyder, or my property's in the Hyder Kate Historical District. So are you all overlapping with the Hyder Kate Historical District?
They would overlap. Yes.
You know, I'm just confused by it.
I think the ones behind, they need to come up
and answer this
say what's
question.
going on.
There's multiple overlay districts that overlap. I mean, you have Thomas Morris overlay, down DDD, Historic District.
500 West Thomas Street, corner of Thomas and North Spruce. I'm on the north side.
You're on the north side.
Right, because then you have 500 West Morris Street, which is side of the building at 500 West Morris actually faces the street. And in my personal situation, my conservatory, my glass greenhouse faces Spruce Street. And that's the boundary.
Correct, so that, your property was brought into consideration because you have a side of the property that faces or touching the district. So, at some point, when the interpretation of the word facing was made, because of your address, it took you out. As did this person, and as did all these other big properties.
Yours the newer building? Ms. Maxner, yours is the newer building on 500 West Morris Street or no?
No.
Flower shop.
Flower shop.
Oh, the flower shop, okay.
What was the flower shop? But if you look at the property at 500 West Morris, I used to own that lot at one time. It's actually the side of the building that's facing Spruce Street. So I'm just curious, and then you have other structures in that block of South Spruce that are not listed as being part of, I'm just wondering how you all determined by cutting in and out. In other words, all or nothing.
So,
If you want to have the Hammond Historical District, why not have the boundary all the way go to Linden?
John, you're in
It
it.
encompass the Snyders,
You're not
the McBrides, the Rommers.
I can't speak to what made the original block.
Yeah.
I can't speak to
Yeah, right now,
the original district back in 1978.
the perimeters are made and they're just really trying to clear up the unclear wording of facing or not facing. If you're building half of one side faces it, but at the front door is another side with the address. So, I mean, it's really just clearing up an argument to where you may have, if do you face it or you don't face it? You're not in a district, but you face it one side of your building. So really, they're cleaning up the jig-jagging right now, actually, because it's everything that's facing is going to be in it now. No, it's not expanding it or changing what's already on paper for it. It's just clearing the litigation part of it out.
Oh, okay. Do you have restrictions or guidelines of the historical?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he would
I
have
no
that right
idea
there. Yeah.
what that is.
So, we can provide that to you, and it's also on the website. And, I mean, that's a commercial, a house, it was a house, but it's also commercial property, right?
Well, let's just say, you heard the story of the mom and pa who lived on top of the
Right.
business. That's sort of the way we were.
Right.
So, Ms. Mashburn, ask you a question. Do you want to be in it, or do you want to be out of it?
Well, I want to know what the guidelines and restrictions are. You know, and of course, as you reiterated earlier, that you all do have rules, regulations, and whatnot. So it would be helpful to know.
And that's pretty much what I was concerned about, the ones that it will affect now, the 21, just made sure. I mean, we're not talking about 120, we're talking about 21 home property owners. So I just, you know, if they're okay with the changes, you know, I mean, then at least know about the change. I mean, you're not gonna make everybody happy, but I mean, if at least they knew about it. You know, I would hate for somebody to have been out of town sick or whatever, and, you know, they'd live out of state, or they said he sent it to the wrong address by mistake or whatnot, and then they not know about it, and then they come in town, and then they find out they're in a historic district, and they didn't know they were, and now they got rules and regulations. So
And the notice, I mean, you received the city's notice for this meeting tonight.
This is what I got, yes.
Right. So that's the same address that we would have used to send the notices out for. When we do that, for both the work sessions and for the planning and zoning sessions and all that. So
this was the first time you saw it?
I have not. This is the first that I've gotten from the city council.
Well, yeah,
In
from the city
reg-
council, you would have received something from the historic commission back in July.
No, I don't recall receiving it. But it'd be nice to have that.
Yeah.
You know?
So that's, like I said, that's the same addresses that we would have used, the ones that you guys used to send out those notices for tonight.
So are you proposing that I can have a choice to either be part or not be part? Or are you saying you will be part
You know,
of the downtown
if this is
Hammond?
passed this evening, you probably will be back into the district under those regulations. And a lot of it has to do with minimum maintenance and what you're, you know, if you make improvements, how you make those improvements, and we'll try and guide you on what you're doing.
If it passes this evening, you will be a part of it.
Well, you know, respectfully, Mr. Mayor, it gets kind of, you know, you have to have permission to paint your shutters a certain color, you know, or you know, it gets a little tedious.
As a contractor, and I've
Yes, sir.
dealt with the board as well, when it really comes down to it, and it's been clarified, they don't have the ability to tell you what color to paint. And in the past, they did. So I get what you're saying, and it's a frustration as well.
Well, yeah, but it would be nice to be able to get those guidelines, rules, regulations. That would be most helpful.
So I think right here, this is a prime example. You know, Ms. Mashburn, she up here, not knowing the rules, not knowing the regulation, and here we about to throw her into something that she really don't know what's going on. And that's why I say, you know, and just an opinion again, you know, those certified letters, that would have helped out, because we all can say this here. She received one letter, what she showed, and say the city, the historical, planning and zoning, you all supposed to have the same address. But we already know that's not true, you know. And we can sit here and say, well, I sent this to her, I sent that to her, and I'm quite sure she would have responded before this moment come up. And like anybody else, when you see the city councilman on it, you know it's going to the final vote. And so if I bypass every other meeting, I want to make sure I attend the city council meeting, because it's going to affect me. So, you know, that's where, if you all could have talked, sit down, drink coffee, it could have been talked about and shared without the whispering going on, blah, blah, blah. Because like she said, you know, it's not necessarily picking out a color or what to do with the shutter. It's the whole structure. The shutter just small. What about the fascia? You know, the mayor sat there and said, you know, you use hardy plank versus siding. And as a contractor, It all depends on what the property is. Is it rental property or my personal property? It's what I want to do with it. Real estate. Do I want to sell a property? So that's where it can come from $2 to $200. And so I just think y'all need to be very clear on who want to be in it and who don't want to be in it. A straight line is a straight line. You can't do this here and tell me the line's straight. You know, I don't know what's going on with it or nothing else, but I would like to know myself, do she want to be in it? Do she don't want to be in it? You know, if you pick her to be in it, and he don't want to be in it, but she want to be in it, he want to be in it. So I think that's one thing, and y'all said y'all try to do it, what, 2 times, 3 times, reach out to the people? But I don't think we do enough. And what I'm saying, it's not so much as y'all. Now I'm talking about planning and zoning. Now I can talk about them. I can talk about permits, duplexes, whatever. I don't think the city do enough to get the information out to the people. And then what takes place, I'm dealing with it now. We see a structure going on, and it's like, well, man, y'all approve of that? No, we didn't approve of it. It was already approved of before we got here. Well, why y'all let that take place? And what they say, it's under your watch as a city councilman. It don't matter that the city sat there and accepted that in 1970, but nobody changed the rules. And I think that's what we're dealing with now. You know, you're trying to change the rules and have everything straight where everybody can understand. So we're getting away from the opinion and just getting the rules straight. But
I like the fact of clearing the process up to where you make it, you know, clear as far as on paper facing, the facing part. I do like that. What I don't like is that there's 21 people, property owners, that it's actually really going to affect. And, you know, I would like to make sure, you know, they could say they received, didn't receive, but it would be good peace of mind if we knew that it did go to the 21. So, I mean, in the future or whatever, maybe even change, I mean, it can't cost that much for 21, you know, receipt, making sure they received it. So where they sign on, then there's no argument. They don't want to come, they don't want to come, and whatnot. But, you know, it could be just error in the mail. I mean, I've had mail I hadn't gotten places lately. This has been the worst year for me personally in a while. So that was my only concern, making sure the 21 that know that it's actually going to affect, that they're aware of it. And if they don't have a problem with it, that's great, you know.
Excuse me, Ryan.
Yes.
I've gotten several messages. The people on YouTube or cannot hear you or Ms. Mashburn, so y'all got to speak into that mic. Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I
No,
didn't
that's fine.
realize.
We got a lot of people that watch at home, and if you're not speaking directly into the mic, they can't hear you.
Well, I'm not digital, so I don't know about all this.
Yes, ma'am.
But bottom line, am I in the Hyder Cate Historical District or?
Ms. Yes, you are in Higher Cape, yes.
Okay, so
it's not
how does that overlapping affect things?
The Hammond Historic District, those trump Higher Cape rules, but a lot of them are very similar for Higher Cape. As far as
Well, you've been in Higher Cate, so I mean, the rules have always been the same for the Higher Cate with you. The only thing that would be changing now would be the Historic District Commission's, you know, rules or regulations they have would, you know, obviously be able to be enforced on your property now if the lines are cleared up and cleaned up.
Well, may I
So
ask, Mr. Sam, why is it that you're not taking into consideration homes which, in my opinion, are truly historical? That which is in the 600 block of West Thomas to Linden, meaning the Reed home.
Well, I'm not, yeah,
Brent
I don't want to argue on that, but that may be a topic for another day. But like, as of right now, this was just a topic that was on there right now. They were cleaning up that. It may be added at some point in time, you know, but, you know, they were just dealing with what they have in the historic committee, right, the historic district right now, trying to clean it up. They weren't trying to expand it. Okay. They were just trying to clean up the language. So you had some good points about those houses, but That's just not, that wasn't as the discussion today.
So you're saying I'm special?
You are. You're very special.
Okay, well, I thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Sarah Nauer again. I just want to make it very, very clear that the blue structures are ones that were previously in the historic district. So we're not talking about applying rules to new people. We're talking about people who were previously in the historic district. Does that make sense? So are people who should have been regulated the entire time, were taken out in 2015, and now we're just trying to get them back in. So they aren't new rules, they're not new regulations, they're not new guidelines. They're people who should have been regulated, or were regulated previously for 35 years.
So that's just the blue, right? That's just the blue?
The pinker
And the
ones-
pink are going to be new ones that you're bringing in?
No, it's the other
Nothing
one.
new is coming.
Just the
Pink
blue
is
ones.
already in.
The pink ones are ones that are facing as legally defined. The blue ones are ones that are adjacent and based on the original ordinance are ones that would have been incorporated the entire time.
But they weren't, I mean, they couldn't have been enforceable because it wasn't clear. That's what they're clearing up right now. So it is going to be new because now it's going to be clear. They're actually going to be added in there clearly now because of an argument.
For 35 years, it was under the assumption that they were in the historic district.
Not the assumption, it was the intent of
The intent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It always goes back to the wording. Okay. Anyone else? All right. That ends our public hearing. On to our regular session. Hammond City Council regular session agenda, November the 9th, 2020. Roll call, please.
Councilman Andrews,
Present.
Councilman Divatario,
Present.
Councilwoman Gonzalez,
Present.
Councilman Leon,
Present.
Councilman Graham.
Present.
And before we move into our regular session, again, to the public, when you come up to the microphone, please speak clearly into the mic. Please give your name and address. Please remember that we're going to be cordial to one another and respect everybody in here on tonight. At this time, we'll move into our prayer. Pastor Jarvis Crockerham, please.
Ask that you bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for your many blessings. We thank you for what you continue to do for us. Tonight, I come on behalf of the city, God, and I come praying for our councilmen. I pray, God, that you would give them wisdom. I pray, God, that you would give them the ability to walk in the understanding and making decisions that will bless our city, that will cause our city to grow. God, I'm asking that you would continue to bless their families. God, I'm asking that you would continue to bless their health. And God, tonight, I pray that you will bind us together in the spirit of peace. And most of all, God, give us the spirit of understanding.
Yes.
This I ask. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of Allegiance. All veterans and active military, please render the proper salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Down to our reports. Mayor?
No reports.
No reports, all right. We're down to our council reports, and the first one we have under the council will be the Charter Review Committee Chair update. Okay, no one's here. All right. All right, we'll move to the next item on the agenda up under the charter. Up under the council report, the 5K Purple Run at Cake Square Park.
Good evening.
Good evening.
ladies and gentlemen. My name is Janine Soche. I live at 13220 East Coles Creek Loop, Hammond, Louisiana, America. I want to thank you for adding me to the agenda, us to the agenda tonight. It's pretty important. I'm here to formally invite you, the City Council, the attendees here today, as well as the city of Hammond to the, I apologize. Okay. To the inaugural 5K Purple Run. This run is to bring awareness to domestic violence in Hammond and Tangipahoa Parish, as well as to raise donations for SAFE, Southeast Advocates for Family Empowerment. The event will be held this Saturday, November 13th at Kate Square Park, corner of Robert and Magnolia Streets. This event will begin at 8 a.m. with the 5K run to start at 8:30. In lieu of registration fees this year, we will be accepting donations to help support SAFE. And also, instead of first and second and third place winners, we'll be holding raffles for prizes, because this was kind of a turn and burn. So next year it's going to be a lot more than this, which includes a self-defense class sponsored by Frank Di Benedetto's Karate, which I think is awesome. Before I hand it over to Nana, I would like to share with you my why. It's going to be a little difficult. The night of October 22nd, thank you, my husband and I watched as law enforcement urgently passed by my home and stopped at the curve of our loop. My husband was informed that they were responding to our close friend being shot by her husband. I remembered my instant thoughts were that this is a mistake. This isn't happening. A short time after, I watched a silent ambulance pass my house. No lights, no flashing lights, no urgency, just drove past, and that's when I knew my friend was gone. Personally, I'm still in shock, and I apologize if you can't understand. The series of events is difficult to wrap my head around. Thank you, I appreciate that. You gave me all of them. Sorry, they're done now. The thoughts that started spinning in my head all circled around the three same questions. Why? What could I have done? And how could I have helped? And I have guilt. As most people do, I typed my emotions and feelings to my social media page, and there was one comment that was shared under my post, and I credit it to giving me the idea of initiating this 5K. The comment was from my husband, who never, ever posts anything, ever. He's a man of few words. Within his comment, he said, "I'll keep running the neighborhood for you. Not just as fast, I'm pretty sure you'd be faster." And so you see, they had a love of running in common. So that's when I understood the answers to the questions I had. What can I do? I can play to my strengths by planning and initiating a community 5K because my friend loved to run. The other question, how can I help? By advocating to end domestic violence, as well as gain as much attention and economic support for SAFE as possible, our only advocacy. They have the tools, programs, people, and the know-how to properly help women and men in domestic violence situations. My thoughts moving forward are to have this event annually so it becomes familiar to the community, just like Shamrock Run, 9/11 Memorial Run held by the firefighters, where it might spark conversations, education, additional advocacy, and ultimately support for SAFE, and the extremely important, powerful work that they do to create a safer Hammond and Tangipahoa Parish. So I'd like to invite Nana.
Hello, my name is Nana Minima, and I'm the Executive Director of SAFE. I live at 52 Whitmar Drive. I just want to thank Janine for even thinking about us and to take action. tear up.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, it's okay. You know, this is just showing, like, in our community, that even if you didn't know her friend, we all been touched in some way, a ripple effect, by domestic violence. Louisiana has stayed in the top 5 of domestic violence homicides for, I don't know, just years. It's something that can be prevented, right? And that's why I do the things that I do every day in my team. And other people that aren't paid by it, by just giving a listening ear to somebody, sharing with them our number, or just saying, hey, if you need anything, I'm here for you. That's something that costs nothing. Even if you can't run, which I'm not gonna run, or you could walk if you want to, but just, you know, being non-judgmental and listening to someone and knowing that it's a safe place to come to you. And if you don't have any other words to say, you can even just say, hey, you know, there's an organization or some other people that might be able to help you out, whether it be our organization or the good men and women that work for law enforcement, that also are our partners and other allied professionals such as attorneys, and I could name a whole bunch of people, emergency professional, teachers, neighbors, all of you could just, you know, there's something what you can do is just listen, and when you don't know what else to do, you can reach out and tag us in for help or tag law enforcement in. Like, I'm tied to this work. I've had, before I even knew I was an advocate, I had a friend that was going through domestic violence while I was in college. I thought domestic violence was something that older married people that had, like, messed up relationships. That's what I thought. It's like, that's nobody I know. But I was faced with it with my friend who was getting beat by her boyfriend. And I just stood up and said, this is not cool. You're not gonna put your hands on her. And I thought that was that was the only person I knew. But then my cousin was killed a few years later, taken at the young age of 21. She had left multiple times. On average, they say it takes 7 times for somebody to finally leave. And she was killed while she wasn't even with him. So you could be leaving a relationship, and people don't know that's probably the most riskiest time. The most lethal time is when somebody's wanting to leave. So if you know somebody that's experiencing domestic violence, if you say you should leave, they know their abuser better than anybody else. They know their relationship. And so when I talk to survivors, when my team talks to a survivor, we leave it in their hands because they know what's best. We do let them know that we're concerned for their safety and we help safety plan with them, but sometimes staying where they're at is the safest thing, because my cousin was killed when she left her boyfriend. He tracked her down, kidnapped her. She was walking down the street, had a gun to her head, said, you're gonna get in this car. When they slowed up to a stop around a curb, she jumped out of the car, ran to the closest place that she thought she felt safe, which was a Taco Bell. She ran in, and they showed it on the security cameras on the news that you see her run behind the counter. A few moments later, he comes in, jumps over the counter, and go pop, pop, pop. And then he walks out like it's nothing. And this is something that could definitely be stopped. Maybe you didn't have to take the gun away from that person, but if we also hold perpetrators accountable and as a community stand and say, this is not something that's acceptable. Showing support at this event, if you can't come, just even sharing it on Facebook, letting people know, like I said, something small as listening to them, directing them to somebody that maybe has more tools than you have, so that we aren't in the top 5. So thank you all for letting us share this, and we really hope that, you know, if you all can come, please come. If not, Janine's going to keep this going. And thank you.
Thank you. And I have posters and ribbons for you too. Can I bring them to you?
Yes, yes.
Let's just repeat again, that November 13th, that's this Saturday at 8 a.m. at Kate Square Park.
And I'd like to say, I want to thank both of you ladies, because it took a lot of courage just to stand up there and say what's going on. And I'm very touched because, and I've been talking about it for the longest, COVID-19 is real. And people don't know what's going on in people's houses. So,
Yeah, you're absolutely right. With COVID-19, everybody's in their house. Everybody's like this. And then the hurricane, everybody's like this. There's no, and then jobs, you know, the loss of jobs, the loss of income. It's just stress, and it's things that can be addressed. You're right. COVID has put people together constantly, so.
yeah. And now, in my opinion, people not thinking nothing out, they just acting. And so I want to tell both of y'all, thank you just from coming up and making us aware. And my opinion, you know, it's a go opinion again. My opinion, we really do, as a city, as a parish, we do need to find some type of resource to reach out to people and find out what's going on. Because with the storm, it really affected my community. And I saw something totally different that I never experienced in my life. So I'm gonna say it again, thank you.
Ms. O'Shea, do you want to speak your friend's name out for us? Just say her name for us, please. Her story really touched. I didn't know her personally. I have a lot of friends who knew her, as you and I are friends, and it touched a lot of people in this community. And I applaud you for making this about SAFE, so it's larger than her. But I think she deserves to have her name known.
I'm Mandy Franks. Some of y'all know me as Mandy Franks. Mandy Burke. I'm a local realtor, lifelong resident here of Tangipahoa Parish. Her name was Heidi Hammond Davis. And in our research, don't look at me. Sorry, YouTube. On our research that we've done with this walk and talking to SAFE, this is one of the #1 phone calls in Tangipahoa Parish. I think every single person in this room and council members know someone of domestic violence. So it needs to come to a point where it is something that's talked about. I worked at North Oaks for many years. I had a coworker that's affected. It affected all of us in the office. So it needs to be more than just a run. Sometimes for different organizations, people get hyped up for a situation and that fades. This needs to be a discussion that happens all the time. It needs to be taught in our schools. It needs to be a thing that young children are taught about and learn about, and things and resources they can use to help their families. And red flags. You know, this has ruined more than just her children's life and her family. This has ruined a whole community. Heidi was a lifelong resident of Tangipahoa Parish. She's from Ponchatoula. Her mother was a teacher at Ponchatoula High School. She was a phenomenal human being. If you didn't know her, that's, you know, her story will go on forever. You know, and so it is definitely more than just about Heidi. It's definitely about this organization. I don't think many people even know where to go for help. They don't even know who to turn to. And a lot of people that you talk to, and I'm sure she can probably back me up, they get embarrassed to even talk about their situation, because who are you going to turn to? If you call 911, they're going to get released. So they're going to come back out. Who can you turn to? So it needs to be a discussion that happens a lot more often in everyone's home, I think. You know? So thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Say her name again. Say the name again.
Heidi Davis.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council reports?
Yes. Thank you. The trash, the garbage, the debris. Florida Street, they haven't received the first pickup. Lizzie Watts Lane off of Palmetto, they been paying for somebody to haul their debris away. So I think the city need to ride around. There's so many streets in District 3 that haven't had debris picked up. And I don't know what's going on, but those are most of my phone calls, when they gonna pick up the debris, when they gonna do this. I think most of the debris is gone off the main street, but it's not, it's still on the side streets. And we need to look more into it and see what's going on.
So Florida Street, we did turn in earlier, and they picked up the construction debris. They had to use the skid steer the same way they did on Varnado because the street's so narrow. So they had made one pass. The tree debris came out right after that. And so that one was actually turned in a week and a half ago, and then we turned it in again today or yesterday when you sent the email.
Okay.
So those have all been turned in, and I know Mississippi has been cleared. There's a little pile on Natchez that I think they still need to come back and get. Providence Ridge was also cleared last week. So there has been debris cleanup all over the city, and I know it's a long, frustrating process. I have the same problem at my house. So as soon as, if you hear about hotspot areas, do just like you've been doing and turn in those addresses, and we turn those in and stay on them until they're finished. Harvey, I know we've turned in 3 times now. I know it took a long time for Ms. Francis to get hers picked up. I know that we've turned in, there's a couple others in that area. Hope Street has been turned in now twice, but they did pick up along Wilbert Dangerfield. I know that Sam had turned in Clark Street, had turned in Alida, Gwendolyn, all those.
There and all those areas over there, which, you know, I turned them in several times, and they finally got out there. The parish, you know, contacted them as well to try to do what they can, and they were able to get out there and get their first pass. So that area on the edge of the city didn't get a pass until last week, pretty much. So, yeah. So I mean, those areas are cleaning up. You know, I've been just telling them to be patient a little bit, and you know, it's coming. But lighting is another issue right now, which, you know, some of the areas get real dark at night, and my with a lot of tree growth, and so the holiday season coming up, and burglars, and you know, theft picking up. They've just been concerned about it, and I know Robert Morgan's been pretty, you know, working on it pretty good with the electrician, but there's been a lot of troubleshooting going on. So
Right.
hopefully we can get that, you know, addressed in a, you know, couple weeks or so. But any updates on the electrical with the lighting in the Timber Lane area and the Rue St. Martin?
They're still working on all of those. So part of it is assessing and marking all the areas that have lights out, and then part of it is troubleshooting each one of those independently. The ones that had rear servitude, there's more challenges, because what we found out is that when Entergy was coming back in and refeeding some of those, they completely spliced other sections. So there's a lot of work to be done on streetlights.
Are they going to run them in the front now? I know Robert mentioned that.
I don't know
New
that
line,
all
yeah.
that has been worked out yet.
Okay.
So that kind of depends on where the servitudes are and what can be accomplished in an economical and efficient way. But they're working very diligently on all those, identifying the locations. Again, if you see streetlights out, if you have addresses, anything you can provide to us will help. It may be one that we already have on our list, but it's always helpful to turn it in so that we can track it down.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's good information. Yeah, because majority of the phone call that I've been getting is still about the debris and stuff, and I just tell them to please be patient. And
We hope it'll be the best Christmas present that we've ever gotten.
that would be lovely.
Would be
Yes.
Robert, William, thank you for helping with those potholes. The residents really like, you know, very pleased, especially some of the big one on Rue St. Martin. So.
And Robert works day and day with Mr. Kraft, who's with DRC picking up, so it's a ongoing process, and thank you for that.
Well, Robert William, 1700 and a half Mooney Avenue. I'm coming to the council about a backhoe.
Oh, we're not there yet, Rob. Give me
Better
just-
be early than late, huh?
Yeah, give us just a moment. Any other council reports? not, just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy this time with your families. I know that we've been through a lot dealing with COVID and coming out of the hurricane with Ida. It made me refocus. I hope we can help others refocus on things or what really matters, and that's spending time with your family, because tomorrow's not promised. So enjoy your Thanksgiving holidays with your family, and just let your hair down. We've been, as they said earlier, we've been congested around each other for a long period of time, so it's just good to be able to enjoy yourself, sit around the table, eat some turkey and a little ham, and just have a real good time.
Council President, do you also want to mention the date change for the next meeting?
The next meeting will be November 30th. The next council meeting will be November 30th. The one that was scheduled the week of Thanksgiving, we pushed it back to November 30th at 5:30 p.m. Move on to our next item on the agenda, approval of the minutes. I need approval of the minutes for October 26, 2021 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Resolutions, none. Old business, none. New business. Resolution number 1. There you go, Robert.
Now it's your turn.
A resolution authorizing the purchase of a JD 410SL backhoe loader for $115,833.98 for the street department, state contract number 4400117717, Robert Williams.
Yes, the street department need a new backhoe for that department, so we can do a better cleanup for the city of Hammond.
Okay. Anyone from the public? Anyone from the council?
Is this one of our capital items in the budget? I should have brought my binder, but I didn't. It was, and it's within budget of what we allotted to it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall what we allotted for it?
135.
Oh, we're under.
It's 225,000 for 2 pieces of equipment.
Is this on state contract? Is that what you got?
Yes.
Yeah, state contract, okay.
Any other questions? Pleasure of the council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you,
Aye,
Robert.
Robert.
Resolution number 2.
A resolution to authorize the mayor to renew the Google Workspace Business Plus license agreement for a 3-year term. Marcus McMillan.
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
I would just like to get permission to authorize the mayor to renew the Google Workspace, which is our email program that we utilize throughout the city. Just asking permission to renew a contract for 3 years.
That amount is the total amount, or is that per year? That's per year. Per year, wow, okay. That's within budget?
Yes.
Anyone from the public? Any question from the council? Pleasure of the council.
Yeah, why 3 years?
That's how they do their contracts, every 3 years. If I could do it for permanent, I would. But only thing about signing in the contracts over 3 years, usually that doesn't give us the opportunity to better our environment. Signing in more than 3 years, we kind of stuck with it, and software and technology is usually antiquated after roughly 5 years. So 3 years is a good contract, and we'll reevaluate it, see if it still benefits and it's for the best of the city. And if it is, we'll come to you again and ask to renew it again.
Yeah. And the reason I say 3 years, because this is what I'm running up against. We voting on something for 3 years, and we don't even know that we're gonna be here in 3 years. That's my concern. It's nothing about you. And that's what I'm looking at, because I know we got something else on the agenda. And I'm looking at we doing these 3 years and 4 years contracts. And I don't think it's good, you know, just my opinion. You know, we learned about opinions a lot tonight. It's just my opinion, so I understand what you're saying. No,
Well, to add to it also, doing a 3-year contract with them gets us a cheaper rate on the package that we've chosen to use here at the city. So if we did it, we probably would have the opportunity to do it every year, but it would be way more expensive.
okay. Thank you.
All right. Pleasure of the council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Abstain.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Resolution number 3.
A resolution to appoint
Nana?
Nana Minima to the Hammond Municipal Fire and Police Civil Service Board for a 3-year term from November 10th, 2021 to July 29th, 2023. Mayor?
Well, as we heard earlier, Nana, thank you for your service and what you do with SAFE. Nana manages the overall operation of SAFE. She's there for folks when they get in situations, as we talked about earlier. Really not much more to say other than that we're thankful that you're in our community. You live in Whitmore now. So she does live in the city of Hammond. There's an opening now on the Civil Service Board, and I recommend and ask for approval from the City Council that Nana be approved for the board seat.
I have one question. I have 2 letters sitting here in front of me, one dated for November the 2nd and one dated for today. One has 3 names on it, and the other one has 4 names on it. The one that's sitting for November the 9th has 4 names. The one for November the 2nd has 3 names. Was there a discrepancy?
I'm looking at the one with Jack, Wolf, Elliott Sanders, Nana Minima, and David Donnell.
Okay, and I'm looking at one right here and one right here.
Yeah, the one that's hyperlinked is the
That's correct.
old one.
The earlier letter had 3 names on it. An attorney went and looked at the state law and thought that that letter needs to have 4 names on it. So Southeastern redid their letter and sent that today with 4 names on it.
Goodness.
There's a little bit of murkiness in the state law because it says that the Southeastern basically has 2 seats that come on to this board. And so the laws speak about when the boards are first appointed. There's one from the fire service, there's one person elected from the police service, there's 3 citizens that serve on the board. One of those is the mayor's appointment, and the other 2 citizen seats are Southeastern's appointments. And so when the initial appointment happens, there's 4 people, basically 2 for each seat. So there's debate about 2 people, 3 people, or 4 people, but to be 100% up and up, and to make sure everybody was on the same page, we went with the stricter one, which was 4 people's names on the letter.
Okay, so my other question would be this then. With Jack Wolf's information being submitted on this letter for today, how would he would have been truly considered for the position if he was just added to the letter today?
In our estimation, his qualifications do not outweigh Nana's, and we had already spoken with Nana about her service. She's been coming to a lot of city council meetings and showing a lot of interest in city business. I think she has an outstanding reputation and an outstanding record, and she has the time commitment and has made that commitment to serving on the board.
Okay. So, in other words, the way I would see this, and this is just me taking it this way, and I could be wrong, it's just that Jack's name was just added on here to say that you had the 4 names that was needed to go by the guidelines for the state.
We looked at it. I mean, we still think Nana's the person. I mean, obviously, There's really not much to say about Nana.
No, I'm not disputing that at all, Mayor.
Well,
I'm
the
just,
forced name was on there. We looked at his credentials, and we still didn't think that he was the fit.
So is it, I mean, I didn't receive the name.
It's up to you. I mean, obviously.
no,
I didn't receive the
I'm not
names at
disputing
all.
that. I would, just my question, you know, that I have one thing here from the second, one here tonight for the 9th, which is today. And, you know, his name is being added to this letter today. That's just my question. And the reason why I stated it that way, I don't know if it was his name was just added to say that you have the 4th name or not, but I'm not.
Covered all our
I'm not-
bases. We wanted to make sure if that's what the state said. We got 4 names. We looked at them. Still, Nana, I mean, look what she's done in the community. Look, she's been here. She wants to be involved. She's an exceptional person. Thank you for considering it, Nana.
Somebody asked a question then, with receiving the 4 names, Mr. President, and the administration. In any way that, okay, we got her resume. Did y'all have to send it to the president, the resumes of the other ones, or is just the one that the administration picked?
Yes, it is.
Southeastern provides the letter that has the 4 names on it. These are 2 seats that go to Southeastern. So we picked off of the list. There's also another person on there that was considered prior that was not appointed. So
I guess this go for the president. Did you get a resume of all 4 people, or this the only resume that you received?
It's the only resume that we have, that you have.
Yeah. So that's what I'm asking.
Is this the mayor's recommendation, though?
Do you-
Does the recommendation come from the?
Southeastern recommends, and the mayor picks off of that recommended list, and the
Okay.
council has to approve it.
And the council has to approve it. So the list, the president of Southeastern has sent the names. The mayor has the nominations. The mayor has reviewed them and recommended one, and that's where we are right now.
Correct.
Okay, just want to be clear. So we need to act on the recommendation.
Okay. So, ma'am, how long you been staying in Hammond?
I've been in Hammond for 3 years.
3 years.
Yes.
Okay. And this is what I see, an opinion. I don't see where she been in Hammond long enough, and that's why I asked, that she been in Hammond long enough to be on a board that this important, considering the fire department and the police department. So I would love to have somebody that's been in the area quite some time. That's my opinion.
This is an advocate of people who are in trouble. She's there for people constantly. Whether she's been here 3 years or 5 years, it is to our credit to have her in our community. Seriously, think about what you're saying here. Because she hasn't been here longer than 3 years, but yet she does what she does for the community and gets involved in situations that other people walk away from. Wow.
Well, I'm gonna say it like this here. My opinion, you voice your opinion, and I would like for somebody that's been in Hammond for some time that know the police department, that know the fire department, because this, is 5 people on that board? It's 5 people on that board. And we dealing with guys that been on the job a long period of time, and I know some very serious things been coming through there. And for what I see from her coming to the council meeting, she go one way one day and she go another way the next day. So from what she done showed me on how she been doing at the council meeting and some of the questions that she been coming up with, that she's not too strong on her opinion on will I go this way or will I go that way. And I'm talking about, we all know because we done saw her stand up here before in front of us and say one thing and then come back in front of us and say something different. But if my job on the line and she sit here and say, well, from what I done gathered, from what I done read, we don't need him. And then 2 weeks later, she come, Councilman Wells, I didn't look at it the right way. Now I see you need it. Well, guess what? It's too late. You done already voted, you know, and so that's what I see, and that's my opinion. So I'm not gonna recommend her myself. Be exact, I'm not gonna vote for her. Let me just say it like that.
Ms. Minima, as I understand it, the Civil Service Board, there's obviously the Civil Service rules, there's a lot of rules and regulations, very detailed, a lot of analyzing and applying facts and you know, taking testimony, basically being a judge. And I guess my question, are you willing to learn these rules, and do you think that you can fairly apply them? And also, are you willing to reach out for guidance to attorneys and people who understand the civil service rules? Because I get that there's a bit of a learning curve. So that would be my question first to you.
So yes, I understand that, you know, I would need to reach out, and I talked to Lacey about it. I said, what type of orientation or training? Because I'm not a civil service employee, so I'm not aware of all the different aspects. And so she told me about, you know, the manual and the education, and I would take it upon myself to read over that, and plus, when in doubt, reach out and ask somebody else for assistance that has that expertise or knowledge. That's what I do at my organization as being the executive director at SAFE, and plus my previous positions of being an executive director and working at State Coalition. When I'm not aware of what, when making a decision, if I'm not equipped, I go and research that information out myself. If I still haven't found that, that could include reading certain documents, reaching out to people that have the expertise and knowledge to do that. I don't just, if I have a question about that, I'm not a person that says, well, I'm just going to go ahead and go forward. I would like to get that information and fact finding first. I do that day to day with the work I do managing my team and my staff.
My other just point is the civil services, you're dealing with people who have been employed by the city for a long time. I personally don't think it's a bad thing that you don't have decades of connection and history with some of the people that you might be tasked with judging on their conduct. You know, there's something to be said for quote unquote fresh blood, right? There's been complaints of past actions by civil service board and people who, you know, allegations that they have been on it for too long. And so I applaud you for wanting to be involved. It's obvious that you are interested in being involved. And I certainly don't think it's a bad thing that you don't have a deep connection to the departments.
All I wanted to say was it's nothing about your personal accomplishments or anything about, you know, you as a person or what you've done. You know, my main concern is that, you know, this is a serious position and a very important board that we have that makes a lot of hard decisions, and you know, you need to, you know a lot about it. And you know, my concern really is with the administration, with the process of, it seems like it was already picked beforehand, and you know, at the last minute throwing a fourth name on there. I think we need to really take our time when we look at all these appointments across the board of Hammond, when we make these appointments, and really take your time and go through them, all the resumes, the process, and everything else, because you know, these boards are what really makes up Hammond all across the boards. So that's all I have to say about it. It's nothing to do with personally with you, but you know, it's you know, this is a very important position here. So
that's why there are 3 lay people on this board. three citizens that have an objective of view to be able to sit on this board and make good decisions. And this is obviously a person who can make rational decisions, a citizen.
Anyone from the public? Name and address again,
Thomas
please.
Nicious, 111 North Magnolia. I don't know who you are really, but I've seen you in city council meetings when I do come here, and I'm actually been impressed to the point of where I try to look you up and find out who you are. So what I want to say about that is I think you know, this lady has displayed herself as somebody that is very passionate about our community. I don't care how long she's been here. Nobody is running up to be part of free boards that you don't get paid for, okay? So this girl has a lot of heart, and every time that I've seen her in front of a group of very experienced people that can be very intimidating, she's held her own very well. She seems very intellectual, and like she's a quick learner. I think this is the type of person that we should be elevating, and I'd be excited to see you if you get appointed tonight. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just going to note that we've already appointed people to this board with much less conversation on this, much less comment on previous things that the person has said in our council chambers. And I think it's just my personal opinion. I think that's kind of disingenuous for us to say, well, I don't like that. I think that you go back and forth in public comment, and so you may not be able to make a decision. That's disappointing, in my opinion.
I make a motion to deny.
You need to ask if there are other people who want to comment.
Okay. Anyone else?
South Oak, Hammond, Louisiana. Those that don't know, I'm a Hammond police officer. I don't know her as well either. I've only met her once. Offered a use for hall for SAFE to do events there because it is community oriented. I think it's more important that the one time I did meet her is, I don't remember exactly what it was. She was applying for something and realized that she didn't do it properly, didn't follow the rules correctly, and actually came up here and said, I realized I messed up, I withdraw it, I'll do it right next time. That shows a lot. I've been here 20 years. I fight constantly for civil service stuff, and I don't know all the civil service rules. I call George, who is our representative, constantly to ask him questions. Nobody knows what they're doing. None of y'all knew what y'all were doing for the most part when you started here, and you learn as you go. And you reach out to people that was here before, and they teach you. It should not be this contentious to have somebody appointed. Our police and our firemen, for lack of better words, can be a popularity contest elected in. They don't prove that they know what they're doing. You can be a police officer for less than 6 months and be a civil service representative. What should actually be considered in this is their drive, their willingness to learn, what they've showed in the past. The lady seems to be very compassionate. She seems to want to do the right thing. She's doing it, from what I understand, for free. I know how that is. I do my position for free as the union guy. You don't get paid for it. It takes a lot of time of your personal life. You do it because you want to do it. My personal opinion, she's already showed that she's willing to do the right thing. When she does something that wasn't right and she realizes it wasn't right, she fixes it. That's a lot more than I can say for a lot of people. Just my opinion.
Carolyn Harrell, 2208 Cherie Drive. Nina, I don't know you, but you've heard some difficult comments, and I want you to know that for those of us that work in the justice system and have for about 14, 15 years, right? Sometimes I don't know is the smartest thing we can say, and I appreciate that you're willing to say that. And then we go out and seek those answers, and I appreciate that that's who you are. I also appreciate what SAFE does for this community. You've always come to educate our students at the higher education level. And I also want you to know that it is extremely important as a city that we simply don't pick people to sit on boards because they think like we do. Because I don't want everyone in charge to think just like me and to vote just like me. Because that's just not how fresh ideas come about. So I appreciate that you do reach out to others and search for those answers. Thank you.
I just want to clarify one thing. I just wanted clarification on the process from the letters. That was my question. So,
Do you think would it be helpful to see the statute to say what we're supposed to be doing? And
well, I read the statute.
oh, okay.
Yeah, but I just wanted, clarification. That's all. That was my point. Anyone else from the public? Pleasure of the council.
A motion to deny it, so you just be waiting for a second for that, if there is a second.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
No.
Councilman Divatario?
No.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
The
No.
motion is to deny the nomination.
No.
Councilman Wells?
Explain it, so I'm denying it, so.
The motion, the
be in
motion is
favor.
to deny it. So if you're in favor of the motion, you'd be denying the nomination. So if you intend to deny the nomination, you'd vote yes. If you do not want to deny the nomination, you vote no, and then there'll be another vote to accept the nomination, if this doesn't pass. There's already 3 votes no.
So,
If you want
let's
to
make it
deny it,
clear.
you'd vote yes. If you want to deny it, you'd vote yes.
Yes. Okay. So let's read. I made a motion that was seconding a denial, and that was my motion.
Councilman Wells made a motion to deny.
Yes, and I made a second, yes.
Deny it.
Exactly. And then call to a vote.
Correct. So if
Okay.
you want to vote to deny it,
Yes.
you would say yes.
Yes, in favor, yes.
So-
I'll change my vote to yes.
Wow.
So now,
No.
so
Councilman Wells
I'm gonna vote yes.
and no.
Leon?
I think you called me. I didn't get to say it out loud, so I will say no.
Correct.
Yes.
We have you as no.
And I was a no.
Correct. So the motion to deny fails 2-3.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
No.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
No.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
That passes. That's it. The
Thank you, Nina.
Nana, thank you.
Thank you, Nina.
Resolution number 4.
A resolution, one, accepting a $9,500 grant from the Community Water Enrichment Fund to install a water main along Pride Drive West, and 2, authorizing the mayor or his designee to complete and sign related documents. Charles Barsher.
I think this is one that we probably brought to the council almost a year ago. This is similar to the one I brought before you guys a couple of weeks ago, where we applied for funds to offset a cost that we were planning to incur. So this is a $9,500 grant that will go toward those costs that we were already planning to incur. There's no formal match requirement. We're just accepting the grant dollars.
Any question from anyone from the public? Any question from the council? Pleasure of the council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Resolution number 5.
A resolution accepting a $44,330 grant from the Traffic Safety Grant Program for impaired driving, occupant protection, and juvenile underage drinking enforcement And 2, authorizing the mayor or his designee to complete and sign related documents. Charles?
This is one we applied for a little bit sooner than the last one. We have received the award letter. We have not yet received the contract. That's why it was not hyperlinked with the agenda. There is no match requirement. This is straight state funds. They're federal funds that come through the state for our officers to work overtime in those different enforcement areas. Typically, we like that program is supposed to start in October, but with the hurricane and some other factors, we're expecting we probably won't be able to start until maybe December or January. This is about just being prepared for those contract documents when they arrive. I'm thinking they're going to come probably between now and Thanksgiving or around Thanksgiving. So being able to go ahead and accept those so we can start working sooner than later.
Any question from the public? Any question from the council? Pleasure of the council.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, Charles.
Resolution number 6.
A resolution to accept the proposed health insurance package for calendar year 2022. Henry Powell.
Henry Powell, 110 West Morris, Hammond. Good afternoon, council.
Good afternoon.
Tonight, we will be renewing the contract for the city's employee benefits. That would be the medical insurance, dental insurance, and life insurance. Also included in the package would be the funding of the Benny card that the employees use to pay part of their deductible. Good news tonight is there's actually no rate increase this year. First time in a while. They had initially gave us a 3% increase. We pushed back and we got it to a 0. We did solicit proposals from United Healthcare, Cigna, Aetna, and Humana. None of those companies were competitive. We sought proposals for the ancillary package, and MetLife, which we were previously with, came back and was able to match our current rates because we were getting a rate increase on some of those benefits. Also, MetLife has agreed to give the city a $5,000 implementation credit, which you didn't know about. So I think we'd like to just introduce that as a perk that would go into the city budget for the benefits. We are trying to implement the online enrollment system, and that would be something that maybe we could possibly use to do that. All of the numbers are included in your package. I will point out the Benny card usage. Each year, we ask you to approve the maximum exposure. We have only used 28% of that funding this year so far. There still is a little time left in the year, of course. But if you can see the second line of that, we've asked you just to approve that same amount again. We always propose a 40% utilization. Typically, we're well under that each year. And again, at this point of the year, we're at 28.6%. You guys have any questions?
Yeah, I do, Mr. Henry. How you doing?
Yes, sir. Fine, Mr. Wells.
Man, you did good. How you was able to keep that insurance at the same price?
I got to tell you, this is the only 0 we got out of all of our accounts for January 1st. Here's the only one.
No, I want to tell you, and we be going at it all the time, but I want to tell you thank you very much with everything, with the price of gas going up and the price of food going up. At least the insurance didn't go up. And so I want to appreciate you really working
Well, your
on keeping it.
employees do a very good job at being very prudent with their decisions with healthcare nowadays. So
Yeah.
it's a credit to them as well as been working. Miss Diana, she's doing a wonderful job.
Thank you, Mr. Henry.
Any other questions? Anyone from the public? Pleasure of the council.
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Thank you all, and hope you have a very thankful and safe Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
You too. Resolution number 7.
A resolution to reject the proposal received by RFP number 22-13 to provide a comprehensive classification, salary, and compensation study for the city of Hammond.
Good evening, Council. Diana Guzman McMahon, 7 Normandy Drive, Kenner, Louisiana. But I will be moving here shortly. Number 7 and number 8 kind of work in conjunction with each other. When we were reviewing the proposals for the wage survey, we kind of kept finding some similarities with the different proposals. So I have a quick presentation for you guys. That's all right. So anyway, I do have a presentation for you. I'm going to go over all the proposals, some pros and cons from each one, and then kind of go into the final part of the presentation.
I think it's under the next one.
Yeah, the size.
Is this hyperlinked? This is on the,
Yes.
okay, if you look on the, on number 8. Yeah, look on number 8.
Right, all the proposals on number 7, and then the presentations on number 8. So we received 4 proposals. All the proposals, price ranges go from $36,500 to $147,000, which we found to be a little bit on the high end. They all had some similar methodologies, deliverables. They also used some proprietary tools for their consultation services, and everything was pretty similar when it came to implementation and then delivering the final product. The competitive markets did vary a little bit. There were some the proposals that had no comp set within Louisiana, and then we had some of the proposals that actually did. So the first I'm going to review is going to be Evergreen Solutions. And so while their methodology was aligned with the city of Hammond, one of the main things that they were going to do was really work closely with our employees and kind of get that firsthand knowledge from employees. They wanted to do some kickoff meetings, do some focus group, and really get that information from the employees, so the employees had a lot of buy-in and contribution for the wage survey. They did have a proprietary software, which is uniquely for themselves. 2 of them, one is a job assessment tool, and that would be kind of updating and refining the job descriptions, and then a job force manager, that would be the way they would compare our wages to the competitive set. But what, unfortunately with them, is that they did not have a comp set in the state of Louisiana. The closest one was Alabama. So while they were very impressive and had a long range of wage surveys, they didn't have anything close to us. All right, so then we had HR NOLA. They're a great company as well. They're a local company, and one of the things that we did notice with them is that the tool that they would be using was called Comp Analyst, and then they were using another outsourcing total rewards benefit program, which is called World at Work. So they would compile all the information for us, but they were using a software that's outside of their company. So while we started reviewing some of these proposals, we kind of saw a trend there. And so one of the big factors with HR NOLA, other than being a local company, is that they did comp sets close to us. Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Monroe, and Lafayette are some of the ones that were that they were using. The employee input would be limited with them, however. They include a job questionnaire, but they were not going to talk to all the employees within the city of Hammond. So they were a little bit limited there with them. The next group is called SSA, and you guys may be familiar with them already. We actually used them earlier this year for a wage survey. It was a smaller scale. They also are a local company as well, and they were very employee-focused. That was one of the highlights for their wage survey. And they did have a proprietary tool, which is their job analysis questionnaire. They also used an outside company called Economic Research Institute to compile their survey and provide that job analysis, and it's a different type of tool. So, and then they also did use a local comp set, which is very beneficial. But as you can see, the amount is a little on the high side, and as we progress, it's going to get a little bit higher. The last one is Gallagher. It's a little pricey. They were bringing us all the bells and whistles. They were going to do some kickoff meetings and really talk to employees. It was going to be very employee-focused, do a job analysis. But once again, when we're looking at that high amount to conduct a wage survey, from my understanding is that we're supposed to be doing this on every 2 years. So, we felt that was a high amount for us. So, and then one of the main things was they would provide training if there was a new price grid or salary grid. They would provide training on how to exactly launch that and how to maintain that system. So once we reviewed all of these, we really decided, the council is always looking at making sure we're trying to streamline processes, that we're trying to make things a little bit easier to be understood, transparency. So we decided to research and find out if there's anything that we can bring in-house. And then that's what we ended up finding. Some of the similar tools like Comp Analyst and the Economic Research Institute, those are actually softwares that we can actually buy into. And then I'll go into that next. So our recommendation is going to be to reject the proposals and let us purchase this in-house system. And I'll go over the benefits of that. So salary.com, they're going to do a consultation with Comp Analyst. So we're going to get the same consultation as all the other proposals, having somebody kind of lead us and start the wage survey with us. And then we'll have this system called Comp Analyst where all this our wage survey will live, and we'll have access to our comp set. We'll be able to pull all the analytics as live. So for Comp Analysts, what they do is they go out and they survey all, not just here locally, but all across the nation, and they update their salaries on a monthly basis. At the beginning of the month, they have new information there. So let's say we have a particular position we're trying to fill, and we're not sure where we should fall with this particular salary because that position is empty. We can automatically open up our Comp Analyst and then put in what we want to define, and then we'll have a survey there. Another great benefit is that if we're looking at forecasting our budget, we're able to plug those numbers in, and it'll allow us to kind of see how it'll affect the budget if we bring somebody in at any particular salary range. And then as well as giving us the high and the low end of all the different salary ranges and how that would affect our budget as well. So we felt that this is probably our best bet because for the amount of investment, we're actually holding on to the information ourselves. We have access to it at any time, and we're also starting off with a consultant, so it's not just, HR is leading this and that's all it's gonna be. We'll have the consultant, they'll do the same thing, the implementation, the analysis, and then also, how do we maintain the system moving forward? And so, we just felt like this is probably the best huge savings. Cut out the middleman, bring it back to HR, and let us help facilitate this.
So this was actually a decision to reject this item, number 7, came from you guys, right?
Correct.
And the reason why I bring that out, because there's some discrepancy in a Facebook post that was made 32 minutes before this meeting started, that the council was rejecting something that had never been brought before the council until just now. That the rejection is actually coming from the city side, not from the city council. So
I'm not aware of the Facebook post, but
I just want to.
Sounds about correct.
Right, it is correct. I read it 2 or 3 times to make sure I was reading the right thing, and that's how information get mixed up.
Yeah.
Started rumors and all of that type stuff, and have people saying the wrong thing. So that's why I'm glad you stated it, that it's from the city side.
Yes.
It's not from us, because we're just now hearing
Getting the
this.
information, correct.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
For the SSA, one of the deliverables they would give is a recommend changes to the current pay grid based on best practices and cost analysis to implement the new pay grid. There's been lots of talk about our grids and fixing grids, fixing the police grid. I think that we've already fixed the fire grid, and then how we make changes to one grid, how it would affect another grid, because you have some employees who work within police, but then they're on the city side. Is this, and would it very clearly, the salary.com with purchasing this software, would this clearly tell us, these are your changes to your grid that we, outside of your city and HR, tell you to do? Because let me explain. I'm concerned that it's going to be like, well, the city is going to decide how and when and who should get paid, because that's the kind of stuff that you would hear. Or you know, the lady in HR is putting the number in this way, and it makes the grid pop out this way, and we don't have someone to point to, because that was our intention as a totally unconnected person, consultant company that was going to tell us, yeah, this is how you're going to fix this. So
Yeah, so the beauty of the working with the consultants at salary.com is that it'll originally start with the consultant, just like all the other proposals. They'll collect all our information, all our documentation, look at the pay grids, and then look to see what other organizations and municipalities are also doing, and then make recommendations based on best practices. Just like all the other ones, we can either say, yes, we want to move forward with that, or no, we want to keep in line with what we have right now.
And remember, when we did the grid for the fire department, we worked hand in hand with the fire department, the fire union. So it was a collaboration amongst everyone who was involved.
right, and we
No
tried.
one really knows a grid, actually better.
And that was
than us
presented
in-house.
with the police, but then it didn't work because there wasn't buy-in by everyone. And so that's what I'm worried about, is it's going to be, well, we've come up with this, and then you have employees who feel like we weren't part of the process, and then they come to the council and say, what you're doing is not fair, even though it has nothing to do with what we've done.
But we didn't come up with it without their input.
Right, but not everyone
Just needed
felt
to
like
go
they
to the
gave
table.
input. So that's neither here nor there, because we're not voting on that. Why would this salary.com give us what $86,000 SSA would give us? I mean, I guess I'm confused. I don't know enough about salary consultants
Well,
and
the
things like that.
consultants will
but-
come in and they'll do a lot of the legwork. With salary.com, HR will be doing a lot more of the legwork, but also working hand in hand with the consultant that we're assigned. It would be very similar to what all the other RFPs are going to be doing. It would just, HR would lead a little bit more of that, be more involved in that. Our intent is, depending, it doesn't matter which one of these we decide on. Either way, HR is going to be involved in making sure that we're reaching out to all the employees, that all the questionnaires are getting out there, that everybody's getting the information, we're receiving the feedback, we're documenting everything, just make it as clear and as transparent as possible.
And what they have is other jobs that they're doing for other municipalities, other parishes throughout the state. What we found with working with them was we were doing a lot of the legwork as well, calling the other municipalities saying, hey, you have this person in this department, what are they getting paid? We were doing some of their legwork for them anyway. So, and I'm sure Lacey can attest to a lot of the things that we did do while we were working with the fire department and with other folks. But these other agencies, what they do is what we're capable of doing here within that department with Diana.
Absolutely, with this HR department.
And save the city a lot of money.
So we budgeted $100,000, I think, for this study. And originally, we were going to hire a consultant outside of the city to look at all these salaries. And this is going to be on the entire city employment, all departments, correct? Okay, all departments, all right. And so the lowest bid came in at $36,000.
Correct.
And then, I mean, which, I don't know, why would we want to take on of having it in-house, adding that to the workload? To me, I would, think you would want to hire a professional who does this every day and every year.
Mm-hmm.
And are we doing this every two years? I didn't know we do studies every 2 years?
That's what the ordinance requires,
But when was the last time we did it?
when we presented the police information to you.
Okay, so we have been doing it in the past every 2 years.
Correct.
Okay. On the whole
Sometimes
entire
take-
department, on every
Some-
department in the city.
It sometimes takes an extra year to get all the data back after the consultant is hired. But yeah, the trend has been, the ordinance specifies for every 2 years
For all departments.
for all the departments. It doesn't say that it has, I think we've provided that ordinance to the council, but yeah, that's all in there.
I have another question. There's been talk that there are people within the city who have multiple hats, right? And whether they should be paid more, what are their job descriptions and where they fit in a grid, and if they really should be in a different part. Is this software going to tell us that? Or is this going to be you guys inputting it and then the way, please don't take this wrong, but the way it's inputted kicks the information out differently than it could be if it was inputted a different way?
We're going to be working with a consultant first. They're going to spearhead this. We're going to assist them in collecting all the information, meeting with the employees. They're the ones that are going to take all the information, just similar to all the other RFPs, and analyze it, and then bring us back a package that says, here are some recommendations we feel like you need to do. Here are some job descriptions that maybe we need to update. Here's this, here's that. So we'll work with them. We'll still have a consulting piece with it anyway. It's not going to be just HR entering information and saying, look, Diana came up with this number. This is what we're living with. No, it's going to be a consultant along with you being able to have access to this tool at all times and having our information at our fingertips. And I know there was a concern earlier about a 3-year agreement. It's one of those things, as you're bundling different options together, you get a better rate. So the first year on this, we would have the consultant. They would help implement and design this, give all the best practices and recommendations. You know, we'll be updating job descriptions, all that good stuff. And then the first year, you pay that fine, the fee, and then we also have access to comp analysts for that first year. Then moving forward, we would sign a contract for a 3-year agreement, and that's how we get the bundle access.
In July, we voted on $100,000 to do the study plan, right? Okay, in July, we voted to do a study plan, and me being an employee for the city, and it's kind of confusing. You know, I'm not employed for the city, but me being employed for the city, we approved of it in July. I don't know why we going through this here process now when I just read a couple of programs that you all have. The city been using SSA, right? When you want to bring somebody before us and tell them how much they say they're supposed to get, am I right?
Correct. And if you would like to use SSA, I guess we could put some more money into them and use them.
Okay.
Your choice.
So, yeah. So I'm saying that when the city brought you before us, you use SSA, right? Yes. Okay. And I'm saying that, but I like Evergreen, and this is what I like. What you said, Evergreen, so they said they're going to take 4 months. And here we done let 4 months get by without giving the city they raise. So, and like President Andrew said, when I talk to the city workers, it make it seem like the city councilman is stopping them from getting a raise. And now, and I'm glad it was very clear that we're not the ones stopping them from getting a raise. They should have had their money for Christmas. If we'd have went on, we put the $100,000 to the side. We just found 3 companies. Evergreen, I'm saying Evergreen because they had the lowest price at $36,500. They would have did the study within 4 months versus now here we looking at another 4, 5, 6 months to do the study, and then opinion again. My opinion, I don't trust the people that gonna work the system. So now, and this is what we had in the past, where when they was trying to get a raise before, you wasn't here, I wasn't here. When they were trying to get a raise, somehow the study was altered that you couldn't get a raise because this your title now. And I'm scared like always, because when I ask for something from the city, I don't get the 4 or the 5 pages. I get 1 page, and then I have to request for, well, let me see this, let me see that. And then when I get it, it be blacked out and stuff. And that's what I'm afraid of by doing it in-house. And then what I love about Evergreen, from what you said, they gonna go to the workers and talk to the workers themselves, because see, you're in HR. You can talk for all the HR, but let's talk to the workers and see what they say. And that's what I like about it, because from the police been crying about a raise for the longest, and they deserve a raise. And here it is now, we still talking about a raise when the police department, they should have their money. That should be their Christmas present, just like the insurance man said, you know. They should be having their present now. And so here we looking at putting it back again. Well, we're not looking at it, this is what you looking at. And I don't think it's fair. We done already voted on it. It should have got started. And it don't make sense to put off again what they should have received in the beginning and what they owe. I'm talking about we as the council members, we owe the city a raise right now. They've been due for a raise from the first day that we got sworn in. They should have had their money. And here it is now going into the last year, and we have a new HR person in front of us, but we sitting here, and it's nothing against you, ma'am, but if you're not looking over it, who looking over your shoulder to make sure that you do everything right, and then who over you to make sure you do everything right?
That's a great question, and it's a valid point that you're making. So in working with Salary.com and working with the consultant, it's still the same thing as if Evergreen would be doing it as well. So we'll be working with them. We'll have the consultant overseeing everything, and then once we get everything up and running, we'll be more than happy to share everything in regards to the comp analyst. We can provide a presentation. We can show you all the analytics and how the salary works. Definitely provide you all that information. This is why we're so, I guess, gung-ho or nerdy about this program, because we can provide that transparency that you're looking for.
Yeah, well, that's what you say, and it sounds good when people stand before us, but I don't trust the process with the city. And I mean, it is what it is. And so what I'm scared of, and I'm gonna go back again, Evergreen say they would have had this done in the 4 months. And by we putting it off now Evergreen got to wait till the holiday is over with to start this process that they should have already got started on. Right. And you receive your money when you came to the Hammond, but we got the people that's been in Hammond that haven't received they due pay, and I'm talking about, they should have had their money before the holidays. And so here we is putting it off, and now we're trying to go through a system that it's not the system I don't trust, it's the people that gonna be working the system that can always, and it's not you, that gonna change things around, because you can sit here and say one thing, but I'm gonna use the president again. The president might do for a raise, and we look at his title, and then you change his title from a president, not you, to a supervisor. And so now he's at the same salary he was making 5 years ago, and here you want us to spend $53,000, and I don't even see, we have an IT person. What did the IT person say about this? I'm asking.
I don't think the IT person looked at the proposals.
Huh?
I don't think the IT person looked at the proposals.
Okay, we got an IT person, and apparently you didn't even put him involved. I don't know what's going on, but.
Bottom line is this. You approved the $100,000 for the new budget. We put out a request for proposals. Here are the proposals. Here are your options.
We did the process that was requested. These are all the options. So she's covered all the options. It's up to the council to make a decision about how you wish to go forward. We're trying to give you comprehensive options. You can either go 100% with the consultants. What we're trying to emphasize is that they didn't come in how they normally do with like a grouping around a certain pricing. Normally, kind of 2 or 3 of the proposals are all around similar pricing. These on the contrast are all stair-stepped by about $20,000 to $40,000, which is unusual. So we started thinking creatively and trying to figure out everything that's out there. We researched all the tools that they use. We researched the databases that they use. That's what she's emphasizing about the comp analyst is the same tool that was listed in the proposals. So it's up to the council, though. That's why we brought this back to you. It's up to you to decide how you wish to proceed.
Well, I think one of the issues that we're having, when we approved of the budget, it should have went in effect right then. You don't wait 5, 6, 7, 8 months trying to do something. I'm talking about when the budget was approved at $100,000, and here it is, you got a company, Evergreen, because they keep coming up. Evergreen, $36,000. So that's a saving right there. I mean, am I doing something wrong with my math or what?
Well, the difference with the salary.com and a comp analyst is that we're going to have access to that information. If our comp set changes, we can keep up with the comp set changing. And there's other tools inside of that system that we're able to utilize. When you have the other consultants come in, it's a one-time shot. You know, they come in, they do the wage survey, they present everything. They're going to make their best recommendation as well, and then it's implemented, and then that's it. With this particular one that we're recommending, we have access to all the information, and it'll be ours as we move forward.
If I may, again, I'm worried about the idea of we do it all in-house. Obviously, there's a problem with that idea. So what I'm curious about, and you know, of course, I like the price tag of Evergreen, but the fact that the closest comparable is going to be Alabama, that's a problem. So we're still within budget, but HR NOLA, they use comp analysis. So let's use that as an example. Say we go with them. It's within budget. They use the same tool that you want to use.
Can you flip it?
They are they're using employee, this says the input is limited. So maybe we ask them to make sure they get some questionnaires, or we go with SSA, who's 86. And they're doing all the things we ask. Their deliverable is totally and separate apart from the city, right? Which I think some people are saying, and I can't disagree with. And then perhaps we use comp analysis in the future, right? Can we not fix our grid, give the pay raise that's supposed to come, and then in the future empower HR to do our own salary studies inside? But we get past this question of nobody trusts anybody right now in the city to do it right.
No, if we do salary.com and comp analyst, they will have a separate consultant similar to HR NOLA, similar to Evergreen, somebody outside, a third party. They're going to be leading that effort. The only thing we meant about HR really being involved is mostly getting with the employees, talking to them, helping them gather the information, not necessarily entering the information into comp analysts or anything like that. It's just, just having a face and meeting with the employees. That's all we really meant about that. It's just, it'll still be, we don't even have to have the access to comp analysts. They would still do the consulting part, very similar to Evergreen, HR NOLA, SSA, and Gallagher. They'll be doing that third-party analysis and consulting. The only thing is that with salary.com, we have access to comp analyst.
All I'm going to say, I don't like the liability and the workload to have to take on the HR department and then learning this new system and troubleshooting and everything else. So I just wanted to ask, so the proposal right here is to resolution to purchase a software study. So if let's say if this wasn't approved, then we would go to the lowest bid, or we would have to pick one of those for,
You don't have to select the lowest bid.
okay. Yeah, okay. So, all right, well, that's good to know then. And then, all right.
Just curious, if we're not looking at.
I think I was talking
Oh, I'm
first.
sorry.
Yes.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. How many employees do the city have?
330,
330.
roughly.
Okay. Have you met all 330?
Not yet, but I'm getting close to it.
So you could probably, you see where I'm going with it? See, here you in HR. How long you been in HR?
Year-wise or here at City of Hammond?
City of Hammond.
3 months.
3 months. And here it is, Evergreen. They keep popping up. I guess the price is so good. Here they willing to meet with all the employees. And so as a company want to meet with all the employees, I think that's good because, see, you can sit here, in my opinion, and say here's a supervisor, President Kip. And all the while, he's been the manager with us. And so they saying they're going by what you say versus them meeting the people themselves. And that's what I like. And what I like is an outside party coming in, meeting with the employees to find out. And we already voted on this here, and I don't see, and you can see right now that it's a trust issue that we're having. You haven't even met all the employees. I don't think that's good, you know, that you in HR, you haven't met them all. But I'm not for it myself, getting a program. And then you got an IT man, which I hear all the time. He's so great. He wonderful. He this and that. But how many times that he done went over this program or talk about this program that you're looking at?
Well, I didn't feel like it was in his wheelhouse. This is a proposal based on wage surveys, not necessarily anything IT related.
So IT don't have nothing to do with this, right?
I'll take that. It didn't even faze me to consult with him. I just thought this was wage survey software, and, you know, it's cloud-based.
If something goes wrong, I'm sure he's going to have to work on it and be another added.
Cloud-based.
No, it's cloud-based. So it's hosted on the web. It's hosted in a different place. It's not hosted on a city server. So if something goes wrong, comp analyst people have to fix it, not city IT.
Okay, so yeah, he wouldn't have nothing at all to do with it.
Correct.
No troubleshooting or anything, okay.
Correct.
So I just want to reiterate, though, that if you're looking at salary.com, they are providing that third-party consultation that everybody is skeptical about whether or not there's going to be outside, HR influences or city influences or whatever influences. I mean, that can actually happen with any of the proposals as you're reviewing job descriptions and titles. So it's not just limited to salary.com.
Just like with anything, it'll be probably a learning curve, getting everything in place. When the money was there, we had it approved. This company here would take 4 months or to get the study back, and they could probably get to it and look at everybody's salaries, and we can kind of look at everybody's wages to see if we need to make any changes. So, you know, I think it's just another liability to take on. So I don't know why would we want to deal with salaries in-house and not just hire a professional like we originally did. So that's just my thought on it. And so, yeah, that's it.
And as of right now, if we give it to Evergreen right now, they can actually start on it January the 1st. And this is something that we should have gave to them 3 months, 4 months ago. And the police department, the fire department, the street department, who else? Building permit office, everybody could have been feeling good for Christmas. Even Miss Lisa, you could have had your money if they would have went on and did a study. So that's my opinion about it.
Let me ask, everybody done? Let me ask you something. With Evergreen, I noticed that it says no comp set within this state. The closest is in Alabama. You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Right, so what they're looking, and reviewing different municipalities or parishes or counties, the closest they've gotten is Alabama. They have never studied anybody here in Louisiana. So for instance, HR NOLA, they've done Baton Rouge, they've done, Lake Charles, places closer here to us that would be
Monroe,
similar
yeah.
to us. So Evergreen has not done that just yet.
So you can't say, we want to know based on these, like, these other cities, like, because they don't have that data, is that
Correct,
right? So
correct.
They only can look to who they've already used.
Correct.
Okay.
So
Let's be clear, they could go out and ask for more, and we are going to guide them in comparables. I remember when we had this discussion first, we talked about making sure that we were doing within our certain area, and that we were also looking at places where perhaps we were shedding other employees. Like if they constantly go to this other employer, let's make sure and match and figure out why that's happening. I know too, Councilman DiVittorio had emphasized getting the full compensation study. So having all of the
Yes.
benefits and all of those things incorporated. That was included in the request for proposals. And so that's what all of these people are proposing to do.
Evergreen, too?
Correct.
Okay.
Is to look at salaries and to look at all of the benefits of what we just approved through Henry Powell tonight and everything else. To look at that whole total compensation package. If there are certain places that we want to recommend, we can ask them to do that. It just may not come as quickly if they don't already have some of that information at their fingertips. So the advantage of some of the local companies is that they may have that information, or that they have already proven to have that information because they've worked with other local entities in Louisiana. This company may have to stretch a little further to get some of that data.
So Evergreen, Alabama, closest, and then the NOLA one has worked with several in Louisiana.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Remember, whoever we're working with, Diana's going to be working hand in hand with them, giving them as much information as they need and ask for.
And SSA, they have some local,
Yes, and you've actually used them earlier this year.
And the charter committee is actually using them as well right now, but,
so we've done work with SSA.
right.
And so SSA, they still inside the budget, right?
Yes.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Flip through them real quick, please. Let's see.
Are they all able and ready to get started and go?
The last we checked, they seem to be ready. And now
not
some
like-
of them are going to take a little bit longer. Some said they could have deliverables within 8 weeks. Others said 4 months.
So 4 months is on the long end?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, the reason that this is coming now is because we had to go through the request for proposals process. That means you have to write it, you have to publish it advertise it for a certain number of 30 days, then you have to bring all of those in and evaluate all that. It's not something that can happen immediately when July happened. So it is a process. This is not professional services. It's not something that we can just go out and say, we want to hire you the next day.
So did you want to go back through
Yeah,
these?
flip to the next one. Let's see.
So HR NOLA, we've mentioned them before. They will also be using Comp Analyst, but they also use World at Work, which is another form of finding out what total rewards are for different municipalities or parishes or organizations. They their employee input would be limited because they're not going to meet with every single employee, as some of the other proposal has stated. And their closest comp sets are going to be Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Monroe, and Lafayette.
Yeah, that was the second highest, and then the next one was,
Right, so you can see why we decided to want to bring this in-house, because if you're looking at that price range, for 61, we just thought, hey, maybe we can do this ourselves. We're still working with a third party. We're still having that person look over the shoulder, and we figured it would be a really great way to streamline the process, own the final product, and as well as provide more transparency. Then this is SSA, like we stated before. You guys have used them before earlier in the year. Local companies, so they've conducted numerous wage surveys throughout Louisiana. And they have a few more deliverables than some of the other groups.
And they would be meeting with the employees.
Yes, they would be meeting with employees.
I like that they would make recommendations to the current pay grid. again, I think it would be beneficial, even though the price tag is, you know, the third highest, to have, I get what you're saying, it's totally separate if we use salary.com, but there's a question, right? There's a question out there. So if we had a deliverable package that comes from SSA, we fix our grid, fix our job titles, give people the raises that they need, or they deserve, excuse me, and then potentially, maybe we get this software next year, or in 2 years when it's time to do it again, and we have a grid that's fixed, and we can maintain this going forward. Who knows where we'll all be in 2 years, but you may have a different council, you may have the same council, but it would be hopefully beneficial to have a package, I think, in my view, that's totally separate from this in-house review. Even though it costs more.
Anyone from the public? Any more questions from the council?
I think you have somebody.
Daniel Boudreau, 120 South Oak, Hammond, Louisiana. I wrote a couple notes on this, just from listening to it, to address the post. I've actually edited it and updated it because I fixed my mistakes and apologize for them. I just got this information last night. So I have the same question Councilman Wells has. We voted on this in June, and we're not anywhere. Was it July or in June? July?
Either way, July, June, either way, it wasn't yesterday.
Yeah, you're talking about a couple of weeks, and we're nowhere, which I don't understand. Personally, I've been here long enough. We've done some survey groups, and I have a really sour taste in my mouth because we have some that have just destroyed our pay plan. A lot of the problems we face is because of them in the past. But I don't know enough on these to really, that's not my wheelhouse. I'm hoping y'all will learn enough to make an informed decision on it. The only one I don't like is, personally, Evergreen is cheap, but Evergreen is cheap because it has their areas way out there. They don't have anything here, and I'm betting they can't do it in 4 months if they're going to get local points from scratch. 4 months is with what they have. I do like the in-house one because we do this every 2 years, right? So if we have these data points from whatever we get this year from local, it's really easy to compare the difference of those 2 years later than to try to start over scratch with a new, possibly this council or another council votes in a different group that they don't use SSA or Evergreen. They do another one where they start over. Here, at least we do keep the data. The original one we proposed way back when was 2 years of myself and George Bergeron calling every agency in this that would answer a phone call and send us a pay study and a list of what their benefits are, which I know somebody mentioned that is an extremely important thing because people aren't leaving just for money. There's benefits, there's perks. Sometimes you can take more and get less perks or take less and get better perks. Those do play deeply into it. I'm really confused on why the money was approved and we're nowhere. And I've been asked that numerous times today of, why are we not moved forward? I mean, we had a decent one proposed originally. I know I'm biased because I helped work on it for 2 years, but I thought that pay system really fixed the problems as far as the pay scale, making it cleaner, and actually saved the city significant amount of money in retirement with the way the new system was set up, or proposed to be set up, I'm sorry.
I can speak on it 2 years ago and make it very clear. I was all for the raise.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was all for the raise. But what did I ask for? I asked for the jailers and the clerks to be involved. So I had nothing against the raise. I wanted everybody to receive the raise. And it was we just talking about the police department, right?
The original proposed, but we don't have the authority to affect records clerk. They're not part of our pay grid.
Yeah, but I'm talking about because what we receive, what I receive, let me say it like that. What I receive, and I'll say it again, and this is what I told the chief, that if he put the jailers, if he put the clerks involved in the raise, I have no problem with it. I sat there and said that at his desk. I said it several times. I'm one That'll speak for anybody to get a raise. The mayor tell you this here, from day one I got in office, you know what I said? The employees need a raise. That's what I said. So I agree with you. 2 years done passed by, and here y'all still haven't received a raise. All of us voted on it. We voted on doing the study. And now I'm hearing, well, this here, it just don't go that easy. You don't do it like that. You know, we have to do it like this here. So that, what I keep hearing, the city councilman is stopping y'all from getting a raise. Well, you hear for yourself now that we're not the ones that's stopping for you to get a raise. It's a new program that they trying to put in place, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, you for the new program, right?
For which new program?
The new program that doing the in-house.
I'm not for or against either one. I don't know enough to make it.
Yeah.
I just listed some pros and cons of each. That's not my wheelhouse to make a decision on that. I just seen these last night and read through them today, so I don't know. I mean, I will say it's not, y'all are in favor of doing the new program, agreed, and the raise. However, this raise could have been fixed back then, and we could now be coming forward to have a set raise for the police officers and now be coming for dispatchers and jailers, which is the only thing we can affect, not records clerks. That was the original plan, like before you guys were the council members, and the the dispatchers and the jailers were the only people in the police department to get a raise. Nobody else did. And then it was our turn to get our raise up, and then we could be back now asking for their raise to come up. It's not one or against anybody. I'm fine with everybody getting it. At the time, we were doing it in stages, which puts less of a burden onto the city and spaces that out across the budget versus just decimating an entire budget all at once. Like I said in the last one, from what I've done in my survey, what I personally looked at other departments, we're 20 to 25% below. We get 2% annually a year. Inflation is 5.4% this year. So even with the 2%, we're 3.4% behind already. Honestly, we need 20 to 25% just to be competitive with the nearest departments that are just steady taking our people. I can leave right now and go to Covington Police Department as a 20-year veteran sergeant and make almost the same money starting over there as a year one officer. Like I said in the last meeting, it's not on y'all. It's not 100%. It's, sins of the past. We are compound interested 7, 8 years down the road where we were stopped from the 2% in the beginning. And now it's all catching up to us, and these other departments have made so much more money now that they don't have to try very hard. I mean, we have guys going over there, and they're coming back and actively recruiting our guys to go over there right now. It's got to be fixed. I don't think the city can give us 20, 25%, like I asked last time. 10%, close to that where the last pay study was, and a guarantee so much per year till we can catch up and be competitive.
Well, the money's been there. We approved it. We just got to get a hired consultant, look at this pay plan to get it in gear.
And I hope and pray that y'all will take the time to look through these. Like I said, they all have their pros and cons. I'm more than willing to research them if you want and give you what I can on them. I mean, I'm here to help.
NOLA was 4 months too, roughly. Did they say? I didn't see it on. They might be on another sheet, but Evergreen and NOLA. Turnaround times.
They were looking closer to 8 weeks.
Which one, NOLA?
NOLA, correct.
Okay.
What about SSA?
They were looking closer to about 5 months.
5 months?
They had some personal issues that were gonna kind of affect the timeline.
If I may, didn't they want to include places like Ruston and Thibodeau that are in no way comparable to us?
Who, SSA?
Yes.
Well, NOLA has Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Monroe, Lafayette. And I mean, I'm sure.
And that's where Diane comes in and lets them know that Livingston,
Yeah.
St. Tammany, Washington, wherever it is, other parishes and municipalities are taking our people, and they'll go and research those folks. That's where Diane comes in.
All right.
Any other questions from anyone from the public? Any questions from anyone from the council? Pleasure of the council.
So on the table now is the vote, if you vote in favor, that would be in favor of the city in-house.
Well, not necessarily, no. So what you have on number 7 is the recommendation to reject all the proposals that were received. If there's a notion to accept one or more, you could amend the agenda to accept the proposal received by one of these groups for the study. That's an option you have to.
I make a motion to amend the agenda to accept, and to change this resolution to accept the proposal by H.R. NOLA.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Now make a motion to approve that amended resolution, which is to accept the proposal of H.R. NOLA.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Resolution number 8.
A resolution to purchase new salary software from Comp Analyst and to complete a salary study in-house. The first year cost is $19,000, and years 2 through 4 are $11,500 for a total cost of $53,500. Diana.
We would just make the recommendation to not do this, since we just
Yeah, you could
approved to go
remove this
forward
from
with
the
the
agen- You
consultant.
could just remove this from the
Correct.
agenda.
Remove it from the agenda.
Yeah, take it off.
I make a motion to remove it from the agenda.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
All right.
Sorry, Miss Diana, if you could let us know, once you've told them that they're hired, and if they are going to have deliverables for us in 5 weeks, hopefully, keep us posted on that. I just want to state for the record, back in August, I tried to get us to, get the administration to put something on to move forward with police pay raises, just to start getting money in people's pockets, and that it wasn't apparently a good time to do that, so we need to get this done. Because we're hemorrhaging officers, as I understand it. So, thank you.
Grass cutters too.
All right. Final adoption of ordinance, old business, none, new business.
A final adoption of an ordinance to revise Article 8.1.7 of the Unified Development Code regarding the definition of the properties included in the Hammond Historical District. Ryan Fox.
Any other questions from anyone from the public?
I'm just going to say that there was some concern of whether there was sufficient notice given, and a couple of options that we have here, if all of the council members don't feel comfortable with this just yet, potentially resending certified notices to the 21 properties. I'd hate to see us just like deny this because we don't think it was done right. Let's find a way to actually fix it so we're not.
Table.
I wouldn't even want to just table it. I mean, personally, an issue's been identified. We have a way to rectify that issue, which is to send certified mail, which is what was stated a couple times as what people think is missing. So I'll make a motion that we How am I going to put that?
Yeah, you either got to vote yes or vote no, or vote to table to get the
table.
notice out,
Yeah.
and those folks can come to the next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Make a
been like
motion
this
to
for a while.
table it pending sending certified letters.
Well, the message
Table
is,
to the next, because you have to say when the next meeting is going to be.
well, the message is pretty clear, and that is that you're not going to consider this unless you're satisfied that the property owners have gotten notice and the chance to come in to tell you or object. So the letter that would go out,
I would want it to come from the council clerk, because I think that people get notices from the historic district or the planning and zoning, and they're like, I don't care about that. If it has City of Hammond, they paid a little more attention.
so the motion might be to table this and direct the city clerk to give the affected property owners notice that this is coming up.
Certified
for
mail.
hearing by certified mail.
Yes.
And who paying for the certified mail?
We have it within our council budget. I mean,
At this stage, it's at the council level, so it'd be from the council.
And we're talking about 21 people. Shouldn't be too terribly much.
I think we can afford
I
it.
mean,
$8
yeah, I
a
mean, I
letter.
think that'll be fine, and it'll clarify any issues that may have somebody not knowing. And it's been like this for years, so another month or two just to be safe.
Well, I'm gonna give it an opportunity to, yeah. Yeah.
So the outline plan that we were discussing is to do a little bit more in-depth to get people more educated. So for the rest of the month in November, print copies of the guidelines to provide to individual properties and with a letter of intent to it. If someone is present, request a signature to ensure that they have received and understand the guidelines. December, send certified letters. If that means doing a council clerk, if that means that we both do it, that's fine too. Send letters to all the facing and adjacent structures, or just to those that are going to be reincorporated, and confirm those addresses based on individuals who signed and received the guidelines in November. In December and January, we will hold 4 additional meetings, 2 in person, 2 virtual. Again, same process that we did before. Come back February and March to circle back to City Council. So I think that we're just going to ask that you consider tabling our proposal.
I make a motion at the table.
Second.
I would recommend, request that the council clerk submit to us the list of addresses for each of these people, each of the
Okay,
properties.
can I make a comment regarding the letters? I think Ms. Hirschburn, the letter you got came from City Council? Because I just want to say, as far as the letters, I sent out letters a week or so ago, and I'm thinking that's what she received.
Yeah.
So
What
what
she
happens
received.
is, I get letters, let's say from planning and zoning, whatever they send out, I send out. Whatever they sent out, I sent out.
Yeah.
So we have to be clear, if we're sending out 21 letters, I need 21 names, 21 addresses, 21 people, because we sent out a lot of letters.
Yeah, you sent out a lot of letters in the whole general historic district area, because, I mean, I got one at my office, so, I mean, it was more, but I was more concerned about the 21 that it's actually going to affect. And the certified letter would clarify and make it clear that they received it or didn't receive it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if they received it, that's fine, but I just didn't want to hear anything that they didn't receive it, because they really may not have received it. So it just makes it easy and clears it up and be done after that.
That's fine, I just want
Yeah.
to be clear that 21 letters to the specific people certified.
Yeah, but let's talk about this. They're talking about
Yeah.
process that bleeds into next year.
Yeah.
And if
Well, no, their process is better. That's way more notice.
It's way more, but no doubt. But I guess the point is, if you're going to send out a notice to property owners, you're going to want to tell them when the meeting is.
Right.
So we're going to have to, if either you impose that now, or we just, when it comes up to get back on the agenda, you direct the clerk.
Yeah.
You know, we're going on their timeline. That timeline may be adjusted or changed. So I guess what you're telling the clerk is you want her to send out some certified letter, a certified letter to the affected property owners, notifying them when this is going to be back on the agenda. So the historic district, what you guys would do is send a letter to the clerk telling her when you want this back on the agenda, and that's going to trigger her to send out that notice. So just be sure you give her enough time to send out that certified letter. That
So
seems
if
to me
if you have someone like Devon said, that's not in the district, doesn't want to be in the district, doesn't want you telling them what to do, and you have a couple of those people out of 21, Are you going to do like they did in the past and allow people not to be in the district because they don't want to be in the district?
You can't just select who's in and who's not.
Correct.
We're just
So,
trying to
as
get.
Devon said, so if you give them the rules, then it's just the rules, and those people,
If the council passes it and really cleans up who's in and who's not, that's the confusion. The confusion is who's in and who's not. And as you saw on the map, there's no rhyme or reason why some are in or not. I think it's just the wording that needs to be clarified.
And I don't think it's a question of, you're
Back
getting
in the
notice,
day,
now
they-
you get to choose what you want. You're getting notice so you are notified and you can tell us what you want and we can make an informed decision knowing that you've been notified.
Exactly. And if there's something that they may have to say that before I make my decision that was overlooked, it'd be good to hear from them rather than make the decision, make the move, and then it's done deal, and then they tell me afterwards, man, I wish I'd have known. Well, they sent letters. Oh, I didn't get one. Well, maybe you didn't get one. I don't know. And then I didn't hear that. So that's why I want to be clear.
Jessica Shirey, 202 Holly Drive. I think that there's some, because what I'm hearing is it seems like there's not complete clarification with what we did last time would be the same process that we did this time, but we would need to send out a certified letter prior. But what I'm hearing is that the certified letter has to come from the council with a date of when it comes back to the council, right?
Well, what I'm saying is to give meaningful notice, you have to tell someone when the council's going to consider it so they can come to that meeting.
So I
give their opinion.
Right, so
Yes.
we would do a certified
Yes.
letter first, saying that we're going to do these meetings, 2 virtuals, 2 in person, these are the times and dates, and then go through that process again.
Yes.
And then we'll get a new date of when it will come back here.
You need to tell the clerk when you're ready to recommend that it be back for the council to consider.
And that's whenever we send out another one.
Whenever y'all's process
send out another-
that Sarah just identified, the timeline.
Okay, so do you want her to send out this first certified letter, or I think that's what she was asking.
Do we need to send out 2 letters, or can we just send a letter out notifying them of whenever the meeting is and what's going on? And you are a property owner. You might need to modify the letter a little bit, but you are a property owner that will be affected by this, this change. And we just want to, whatever, make sure that you received it. And here, it's going to be back on the agenda meeting. It's going to be back on a public hearing or the agenda on whatever date we decide.
No, the letter that I send out is to let them know, make them aware that there's a public hearing.
Yes.
To address this.
Yeah, and that's.
So basically, what has happened, I'll use planning and zoning.
Yeah.
When I get a letter from, what happens, planning and zoning sends me a copy of the letters they sent out.
Yep.
So I know who they sent them to, the addresses, right? I take the letter from planning and zoning and tweak it a little bit to state that it's coming from city council and this is what's happening. This is when the meeting is, and if they have any concerns or an opinion, they come to this meeting on this day.
Yeah, and I can
I like
help with
that.
that letter. The advantage to what the historic district is doing, which is awesome,
Right.
is you're going to tell people what the rules are. So they can be
Well-
informed about, this is what it means to be in the district.
Can you just-
Right,
Yes.
that's the process that we
understand.
did before. That's why I'm trying to figure out what's different in this process.
Certified
So we
letters that
had-
you all send out. I would, as I've said,
Okay.
my advice was go to the door, knock on the door, give them something.
That's what I was
something-
trying to
Something that
clarify.
has
You want us to
evidence of
certify
receipt.
a letter.
That's what the council is
And-
suggesting that you all do, so they're satisfied that they've gotten the notice.
All it is to make sure that they've received a notice, and they can't say they were out of town, out of state, didn't get the mail, the mailman passed them, or whatever it may be, and that's just it. I mean, that letter sounds good, Ms. Mashburn got it, or whatnot. I mean, that's really it. If you want to add the historic districts, the changes, the regulation rules, if you want to add that as an attachment in there so they can look at it.
I don't think that's for the clerk to
Okay.
send. I don't think it's the clerk to send their rules. I think your communication is informing them, we'll have a meeting to discuss all the rules, here's where you can find it on the website, that sort of thing.
I guess part of the process that what Sarah was recommending is we basically start over. Notify those individuals with those certified letters so that we're clear that they got it, invite them to the process again, go through those workshops again with them if they want to participate and want to know, and then we can then inform the clerk, okay, we've had these meetings, we've recertified what we're doing, let's bring it back to the council.
I mean, that's fine. I mean,
Because all we're doing is if you just send the certified letter to say, hey, this is going to be on the next council agenda, we're just going to stand up here possibly and hash out things that we can better inform them about in a more informal setting, right? About going through what the regulations mean, what's going to be involved in the process so that they can understand.
I mean, if it's a letter, I mean, state right, I mean, if they got it, they got it. If it says they got any questions, call our office, please, whatever, to go over the rules and regulations. I mean, we can keep sending it out. I just think it might be a little like,
Too much.
doing it too much rather
too
than
many
just, my
letters.
only concern was just making sure that they really did get some notice at some point. And you have a record of they received a letter and they got it, and they may not care any. But I'll feel better, at least they know they got it and it wasn't an error, so. I mean,
Your
y'all-
advantage is you're giving them the opportunity to learn about the rules of the historic district, so they'll know what that means to be in the district.
Right.
So they're educated.
Right.
And will know that.
And like I said,
And if
we
they
intended-
object to some
that
of
was
those
the-
things, they can inform the council about that at the meeting.
I mean, that was the whole intent of the process before. The difference is we'll be verifying that they actually received the notification, and then we can go from there. So, all right. Thank you, guys.
So we,
Table to table.
Yes.
Motion second to table.
roll call.
Who made the motion?
Sam DiVittorio moved and Ron Wells seconded to table.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman DiVittorio?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Introduction of ordinance none.
Yes, we have one.
Oh, well, that's right, I see him, so I'm sorry.
Introduction of an ordinance to allow for temporary housing for repairs after Hurricane Ida. Lacey Landrum.
This is the same exact language that you all passed under an emergency ordinance. Remember, we came before and asked for the 60 days. That's however long an emergency ordinance can last. This is the same exact ordinance that you passed, only we're asking you to take it through the regular process, which would make it effective for longer. Up to 6 months is what this describes, and also allows the building department to allow an extension if that home is under renovation. So there's still timeframes there, there's still inspections there. It's not just bring your camper or trailer and start living in your driveway unexpectedly or for an unextended, for forever time. Right now, currently, there's only 2 places that have even requested this permit, this provision. However, we do not have any FEMA trailers yet to arrive in Hammond. We do know they are coming. We do not have the timeline from FEMA as to when they will arrive. So this just allows a toolbox option. It does not grant everyone a carte blanche permit for go doing whatever you wish. Again, everything would come through the building department. It would come through with the idea that you are renovating your house to stay there, to get out of the trailer or the camper to move back into the house.
Yeah, there's a time frame on that.
Yes, so in this, it says, in the 3rd paragraph down, such extent, I'm sorry, that's the first one. There was 6 months, and then that such extensions shall not extend beyond 6 months from the date of the final adoption of this ordinance.
Okay.
So that's the caveat there.
And so 9 times out of 10, we'll probably be voting on this again once FEMA, if they approve other trailers.
You would not have to vote on it again because you would have adopted the ordinance through the whole process. So what you did before is you did an emergency ordinance because we didn't have time to go through the full process. We wanted to be receptive to people's needs for a temporary shelter, essentially. And so what you approved before was only for 60 days. That's as long as it can go, and then the ordinance goes away. This would be for up to 6 months, depending on how that person is coming along with their renovations. So that's the difference between what you did before and what you would be starting to do tonight. But remember, this is just introduction, so then at the next meeting on November 30th, we would have a public hearing and then a final vote on it. So you're not voting tonight to adopt this. You're voting just to introduce it like we do with our ordinances, to send it into a public hearing where we can have a lot more discussion about it on November 30th.
I make a motion.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Public hearing will be scheduled for November 30th at 2021 at 5:30.
I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Meeting adjourned.